Chapter 223. At that moment, the Bronze X/Fantasy I Source Sand already had 3 exclusive skills. Apart from the exclusive skill Sand Control that the Source Sand had obtained after reaching Bronze, the other 2 exclusive skills were Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance. The other 2 exclusive skills were Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance. Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance were the 2 exclusive skills that the Source Sand had obtained after evolving into a fantasy breed. In Lin Yuan's opinion, these 2 exclusive skills were indeed formed from the Yin-Yang Willpower Rune that he had comprehended from the Yin-Yang Alternation and the Myriad Form Willpower Rune that he had comprehended from the Dragon Phoenix Landscape Carp Body's magnificent landscape transformation. Be it Metal Consume Manifestation or Gravel Spirit Acceptance, they both had extremely strong transformation characteristics. When looking at the Metal Consume Manifestation, Lin Yuan's eyes immediately lit up. Metal Consume Manifestation could devour a type of metal in the Source Sand, allowing the Source Sand to possess a portion of the devoured metal's characteristics. It could even quickly condense the devoured metal in the gravel during combat, forming a specific form for attack, defense, or control. The amount of a certain type of metal that Metal Consume Manifestation could devour was determined by the source-type Source Sand's grade. This exclusive skill allowed the Source Sand's combat style to immediately undergo a qualitative change. After all, the Source Sand was just a pile of yellow sand. Even if its offensive ability was strong, it was only strong to a limit. However, Metal Consume Manifestation was akin to burying a sharp sword in the sea of sand that could be brandished at any time. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and decided to use ferromanganese, which was refined from ferromanganese or, as the Source Sand's Metal Consume form would devour. The Source Sand's Metal Consume Manifestation did not mean that it could not be changed after devouring a specific metal. On the contrary, the Source Sand could change the metal it devoured according to Lin Yuan's instructions. The Source Sand was currently only at Bronze X/Epic. So the ferromanganese refined from the ferromanganese ore was undoubtedly very suitable for the Source Sand at this grade. The ferromanganese's characteristics were very simple: hardness and sharpness. The ferromanganese's surface was not smooth, and there were many kinds of flaky faults. If these flaky faults scratched the target's body, they would be able to injure the target's skin like a sharp file. If they pierced the target's body, they would simply be a sharp weapon for bleeding. Other than the gravel that the Source Sand had turned into, the gravel that it produced afterward was basically made by crushing the soil and ores in the ground to create sand. At that moment, the Bronze X/Fantasy I Source Sand's strength was not enough to directly smash the high-density fine sand deep underground, shatter the solid rocks deep underground, and create a large amount of solid gravel. On the other hand, if the ferromanganese ores were transformed by the Source Sand by metal devouring, it would immediately increase the toughness of the Source Sand's gravel and its ability to produce sand. It could even make the edges and corners of the Source Sand's gravel sharper. As a bronze-grade spiritual material, ferromanganese could be auctioned in the Star Web's Rare Lifeform Pavilion. He bought a large number of bronze ferromanganese from the Star Web's Rare Lifeform Pavilion. At the same time, he went to Zhou Jessen's shop and bought a large amount of low-grade energy ores. Lin Yuan had purchased a lot of low-grade energy ores this time, and they were stored in silver face storage boxes. They should be able to be stored in the Spirit Lock spatial zone for a long period of time. Lin Yuan took out the ferromanganese that he had obtained. The flakes of ferromanganese were blackish blue in color, and they had more metallic luster than the ferromanganese ores. Lin Yuan let the Source Sand devour the ferromanganese that he had just obtained. While the Source Sand was devouring the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan constantly observed the Source Sand's changes. Lin Yuan realized that the Source Sand's changes weren't very obvious. However, the gravel's hardness was much higher than before. If he pinched a wisp of fine sand, he would be able to feel that the fine sand was like thorns that pricked his fingertips. Lin Yuan knew that the ferromanganese's metallic characteristics had been transferred to the Source Sand. Lin Yuan had purchased a lot of ferromanganese, but he had still underestimated the Source Sand's metal-devouring form and the amount of bronze ferromanganese that it could devour. In the end, Lin Yuan was only left with less than 150 caddies of ferromanganese out of the 4,000 caddies that he had purchased. After the Source Sand's metal-devouring form had devoured the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan began to carefully consider the form that the ferromanganese would take during battle. During metal-devouring form, the ferromanganese's form wasn't something that Lin Yuan could directly change. Due to the ferromanganese's hardness, if Lin Yuan were to change its form during battle, the Source Sand would precipitate the ferromanganese and turn it into a weapon, and it would consume a lot of spiritual power. Therefore, the weapon form that the source sand's metal-devouring form required Lin Yuan to condense before the source sand could memorize it. During the battle, Lin Yuan only needed a single command, and the source sand would be able to rely on metal-devouring form to produce the weapon form that it was already familiar with for battle. Since the source sand could only specify one weapon form, Lin Yuan had to be cautious about this weapon form. There were all sorts of weapon forms. Shields could be used for defense. Sharp swords could be used for damage. Chains or whips could be used for control. However, be it shields, sharp swords, chains or whips, their effects were too monotonous. However, Lin Yuan was a clever fellow and quickly thought of a solution. The solution was the chain sword. The chain sword combined the advantages of sharp swords and chains, combining control and attack. At the same time, Lin Yuan widened the blade of the sharp sword so that it could be used as a shield to block attacks. Lin Yuan's design wouldn't reduce the source sand's metal-devouring form weapon's combatability. On the contrary, due to the irregular fracture on the ferromanganese's surface, the chainsword's blade turned into a huge file. When the chainsword wrapped around the target, the sword didn't need to slash and only needed to rub to tear off a layer of flesh from the target's body. At the same time, when several chainswords were paired together, the broad and thick blades would intersect to form a giant iron cage. After trapping the target in the iron cage and controlling the target, the source sand could sink the trapped target deep underground. Then, it would change the pressure and density to trap the target underground. After making the decision, Lin Yuan transmitted the chainsword's appearance that was different from ordinary chainswords to the source sand. Immediately after, the source sand transformed back into the amber crystal button. The source sand still needed to memorize the chainsword's form before it could follow Lin Yuan's consciousness and casually suck out the high-purity ferromanganese from the yellow sand to form the chainsword. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 224. Previously, Lin Yuan had also thought of letting the source sand devour a high-grade metal spiritual ingredient. Even if he could only devour a small amount of high-grade spirit materials, it would still be able to cause explosive damage in battle. However, Lin Yuan gave up after some consideration. Be it the silver/fantasy breed Chimey or the gold/legend acid corrosion queen bee, they had extremely powerful single-target explosive abilities. Lin Yuan did not really need the source sand to deal extremely strong burst damage. On the contrary, after the source sand had devoured the ferromanganese, it had developed in all aspects, and Lin Yuan's combat strength had increased even more. After looking at the source sand's second exclusive skill, Lin Yuan was extremely satisfied with it. However, when Lin Yuan saw the third exclusive skill, he was stunned. Lin Yuan immediately felt that the source sand's comprehension of these two willpower runes was really fucking direct. Of these two transformations, one was alive and the other was lifeless. The third exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, allowed the source sand to devour a Fey or dimensional life form. The number of phase and source-type life forms that the source sand could devour depended on the life form's energy and the complexity of the template. Therefore, he had to carefully consider whether he should let the source sand's third exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, devour multiple targets and form a small army in the yellow sand. Furthermore, it would only devour one unit, allowing this unit's individual ability to reach the limit that the source sand's Gravel Spirit Acceptance could withstand. In the end, he gave up on the first idea. After experimenting, he realized that if the source sand only used its exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, to devour the dimensional life forms in Class 1 dimensional rifts, the source sand wouldn't be able to devour them. Depending on the genetic model of these Class 1 dimensional life forms, the source sand could accept anywhere from 10 to 25 gravel spirits. The number of Class 1 dimensional life forms in the source sand was equivalent to the same number of bronze phase. Such bronze strength would not be of much use to Lin Yuan. Not only was it inferior to Red Thorn's Sea of Flowers, but it wasn't even as strong as the source sand's sand. Lin Yuan realized that if the Bronze X/Fantasy source sand were to devour the Class 2 dimensional life form, the Horn Demon, in the Abyss dimensional rift, it would be able to reach the Gravel Spirit Acceptance's limits. Moreover, the Level 2 Horn Demon that the Gravel Acceptance had was a very comprehensive unit. It had the strength of a silver pinnacle. However, to Lin Yuan, it was still somewhat tasteless and a pity to discard. There were countless dimensional life form corpses in the leaf-shaped Fey storage box. Just as Lin Yuan was searching, he suddenly discovered a dimensional life form that he had seen with his own eyes. This dimensional creature was a Class 3 alien insect, heart-penetrating iron line. The endurance of the source sand's exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, was determined by the energy contained in the target's body and the complexity of the genetic model. If there was a dimensional creature with the simplest genetic model, it would undoubtedly be the heart-penetrating iron line. The threaded iron wire was able to become a Class 3 alien insect with such a simple genetic model. Apart from its extremely powerful concealment ability, it also had a terrifying penetrative ability. The sea of sand formed by Lin Yuan's source sand was enough for the heart-penetrating iron line to hide. Every patch of yellow sand was the best place to hide. The heart-penetrating iron line could assassinate targets in the sea of sand like an invisible assassin. However, in his heart, the best way to use the heart-penetrating iron line was to use quicksand to sink the target into the sea of sand. When the target struggled in the sea of sand and was ready to break free, the heart-penetrating iron line could find an opportunity to pierce through the heart and complete the kill. In fact, when the chain swords formed a cage to sink the target into the ground, the heart-penetrating iron line could also give a fatal blow. As an invisible assassin hiding under the sea of sand, the heart-penetrating iron line could take lives but not reveal itself. Lin Yuan first picked out a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold eye normal Fey from the leaf-shaped diamond Fey storage box. He let the source sand use its exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, to devour this heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold eye normal Fey. Lin Yuan realized that this gold eye/normal heart-penetrating iron line did not reach the limit of the source sand's exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance. After some experimentation, Lin Yuan found that the source sand's bronze X/fantasy eye strength could only accept heart-penetrating iron line's limit. The Gravel Spirit Acceptance heart-penetrating iron line's limit was to accept a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold 3/elite Fey. Lin Yuan could not help but lament that the Class 3 heart-penetrating iron line's template was simply too simple. However, this simple heart-penetrating iron line template was really useful. After the source sand's exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, the heart-penetrating iron line could also be replaced. However, the source sand had already fallen into a dormant state. It was condensing the chain swords from Metal Consume Manifestation and the Gravel Spirit Acceptance of the heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold 3/elite Fey. The source sand had to reassemble the heart-penetrating iron line in the form of sand, so this process required the source sand to sleep deeply for a few hours. At this moment, the source-type source sand finally revealed its current strength at its peak. Fey name: Source Sand Amber Button. Fey species: Elemental/Sand Fey grade, Bronze X. Fey type. Source: Fey quality. Fantasy Eye exclusive skill: Frowny Face Sand Control. Increases the contractor's control over the source sand and reduces the consumption of spiritual power when controlling the sand. Metal Consume Manifestation. Can devour a type of metal into the source sand, allowing it to have the characteristics of devouring metal. At the same time, it can quickly condense the metal in the gravel and turn it into a specified form. Ferromanganese Chain Sword. Gravel Spirit Acceptance. The source sand can devour a Fey or dimensional life form. The amount of devouring depends on the lifeform's energy and the complexity of the template. Level 3 Alien Insect Heart-Piercing Iron Line. Without Morbius Spirit Energy Condensation, which could condense spirit energy crystals, he would not have been able to do so. He would probably have to enter seclusion for another month to raise the source sand's strength from Bronze X/fantasy breed to Silver/fantasy breed. However, with Morbius Spirit Energy Condensation, he could condense spirit energy crystals. There was no need for him to waste this month. It was now the most precious period for him to improve his strength. During this period, the most important thing for him was to quickly increase his Spirit Chi professional rank while improving his combat skills. Then he would try to get into the Radiance 100 sequence this year. With Morbius Spiritual Energy Condensation condensed into a spiritual energy crystal, the source sand's strength could increase from bronze level 10 to silver level with just one. There were still 2 more days before the first spiritual energy crystal would be formed. Lin Yuan exited the Spirit Lock spatial zone and took a good bath before leaving the room to have a sumptuous dinner with Wenyu and Lu Jie. After dinner, the trio chatted for a while and then played the Radiance Federation's currently very popular Fey Battle Chess. While Lin Yuan had been in seclusion for the past few days, Wenyu and Lu Jie had been desperately improving their strength. Wenyu was improving her ability as a creation master, hoping to be of better help to Lin Yuan. Lu Jie had let the insect queen devour the source-type hurricane owlet moth and inscribe a template to produce a platinum ability. During these 5 days after the insect queen's platinum ability was completed, Lu Jie had arranged to spar with Bai Hao on Star Web to perfect his insect queen's tactical arrangement after obtaining a new ability. Lu Jie was not like other spirit chi professionals who only needed to control a few phases. Lu Jie's combat method was completely like a commander commanding an insect swarm composed of 5 types of insects. Therefore, his tactical arrangement had to be very meticulous. Lu Jie also hoped that he could become stronger so that he could better protect this youth in front of him. It was late at night. These few days of seclusion had kept Lin Yuan's spirit in a tense state during the process of enhancing the source sand. Therefore, he really needed to have a good sleep to recover his spirit. However, Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to rest. Instead, he logged into Star Web. He was ready to fight his second Celestial Stairway promotion duel. He wanted to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 225. After Lin Yuan used his identity as Black to log onto the Star Web, he suddenly recalled that it had been 8 days since he had used a large batch of completely jade-made red sandalwood to customize the red sandalwood fish tank. According to the previous agreement, the Class 4 Spirit Craftsman would use the address he had left behind 2 days later. He brought over the red sandalwood fish tank that was completely made of jade-made red sandalwood. The spirit pool in Lin Yuan's spirit lock spatial zone was only close to 20 square meters, and it wasn't considered huge. The 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps, which were 1 meter long, had 1 meter long tail fins, and had nearly 1 meter wide spread fins, were being raised in the spirit pool in the spirit lock spatial zone. It had already affected the large batch of Elite 5 fortune ranches that Lin Yuan was nurturing. Furthermore, the spirit gather goldfish, Blackie, was usually more lively and active. It would always cause trouble for the 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps, causing chaos in the spirit pool. 4 Fays that had awakened the dragon species bloodline, their territorial awareness had always been very strong. If it wasn't for the fact that these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps were naturally auspicious and would make natural creatures instinctively get close to them. At the same time, Blackie also knew that Lin Yuan had personally placed the 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps in the spirit pool. Perhaps the spirit gather goldfish, Blackie, had already launched an attack on the 3 Bronze X/Epic Dragon Phoenix landscape carps. The spirit gather goldfish might not be a match for these 3 Bronze X/Epic Dragon Phoenix landscape carps. After all, there was a huge difference in size. Furthermore, Blackie was a support-type Fae and did not possess any combat ability. However, such territorial awareness was a kind of dignity that was engraved in the bones of dragon species Faes, and they could use their lives to defend it. During this period of time, Lin Yuan had been comforting Blackie. However, when the red sandalwood fish tank, which was made of completely jade-made red sandalwood, was delivered, these 3 Dragon Phoenix landscape carps could then leave the spirit pool and be kept in the red sandalwood fish tank in the mansion. At that time, the Dragon Phoenix landscape carps, as a superior auspicious sign, would be able to comprehend the exclusive skill, Place of Life, which would protect the manor's plants from withering and the water from freezing. It allowed everything in the manor to grow in the most comfortable environment and stay away from diseases. Lin Yuan had already arrived at the Star Web Tower and was preparing to participate in the second promotion duel when he saw over a dozen unread messages in his personal message column. Since Black's identity had been set to reject all messages, he naturally would not receive messages from any strangers. Tian Ningning was the only one on Black's friend list. In other words, these dozens of messages were all sent by Tian Ningning alone. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly recalled the Star Web reporter, Tian Ningning, who had been contacting him previously. It was not that Lin Yuan had completely forgotten about Tian Ningning, but the 5 days of seclusion had left him with no time to think about anything else. He had originally planned to look for Tian Ningning after the second promotion duel. But now that he saw that Tian Ningning had sent him so many messages, he opened the information bar and checked the messages that she had sent him. At the very beginning, Tian Ningning had sent him a battle record. After that, almost every day Tian Ningning would leave a message asking if he was there or what he thought of the battle record. From Tian Ningning's attitude, Lin Yuan could feel that she really wanted to be his exclusive reporter. Lin Yuan clicked on the battle record that Tian Ningning had sent him and read it carefully. This battle record was not considered long, but Lin Yuan read it carefully for a few minutes. Tian Ningning's battle record was actually much plainer than the battle records of the other Star Web reporters, which had been specially polished. However, Tian Ningning's battle record was more objective and realistic compared to the battle records written by the other Star Web reporters. Tian Ningning was really standing on Black's side and used the way of stating the facts to record the battle. Moreover, Tian Ningning's analysis of the battle in several places made Lin Yuan rather amazed. Tian Ningning was able to ingeniously point out the areas where Lin Yuan felt that he had grown and comprehended in this battle. It was obvious that Tian Ningning had a certain understanding of the battle between spirit chi professionals. Tian Ningning had also grasped the details of the battle very accurately. She had memorized almost every detail of the battle without missing a single detail. Lin Yuan admired Tian Ningning's realistic recording style very much. Lin Yuan replied below. Black, your battle record is written well. If you can use such a realistic and objective style to write news about me and do battle records, then you can become my exclusive reporter. I wish us a happy cooperation. Tian Ningning had been very apprehensive when writing the battle record. Especially after sending the battle record that she had written to Black, that apprehension was even more intense. Since Tian Ningning had not received Black's reply, she had been in a very disappointed mood for the past few days. This opportunity was something that Tian Ningning had painstakingly begged for. She could not help but blame herself for choosing to write the battle record in such a realistic way and wasting the opportunity that she had painstakingly asked for. But at the same time, Tian Ningning felt a sense of relief in her heart. This was because this real battle mechanism was considered to have given her an explanation. When Tian Ningning had used such a realistic style to write the battle report, she had wanted to give herself psychological comfort. As a star web columnist, Tian Ningning had always had her own insistence. Black's image of a young hero who had defended Millstone Town from the invasion of the insect tide and turned the tide had always appeared in Tian Ningning's mind. Tian Ningning could not bear to tarnish that heroic feat with a false style. Even though she was thinking like this, Tian Ningning had been feeling uneasy for the past few days. She had been wondering why she had not received a reply from Black. In fact, Tian Ningning had to look at the star web streak ranking several times a day to see if there were any changes to Black's number of matches at the top. For the past few days, Tian Ningning had not been able to do anything and had been immersed in star web. During these 5 days, Tian Ningning looked much more haggard than 5 days ago. At that moment, Tian Ningning suddenly realized that Black, who had been missing for the past few days, had actually replied to her message. Upon seeing Black's message, Tian Ningning quickly rubbed her eyes, afraid that she was seeing things. She had been looking forward to it when there had been no message, but now that she knew that Black had replied to her, Tian Ningning really did not have the courage to open Black's message. Tian Ningning was afraid that she would see Black's rejection. When Tian Ningning mustered up her courage and opened Black's message made Tian Ningning's nose sour, and her eyes suddenly became moist. Black agreed to let me be his exclusive reporter. This thought resonated in Tian Ningning's mind. Becoming Black's exclusive reporter made Tian Ningning very excited. But what touched her even more was that she had obtained Black's approval by using a true style to write the battle record. At the same time, the radiant image of the silver-masked, black-clothed and resolute youth in her heart became more realistic and vivid. Tian Ningning looked at Black's message for a long time before replying with 2 words with a trembling voice. Tian Ningning, thank you. At that moment, Lin Yuan had already started the matchmaking for the second Celestial Stairway promotion duel. The instant Lin Yuan chose the matchmaking, he did not have to wait and was immediately matched with an opponent. The Celestial Stairway promotion duels were like a watershed that divided the Star Tower duelists into upper and lower groups. The difficulty of the Celestial Stairway promotion duels also determined the number of duelists who were stuck in the promotion duels. Even if there were people who managed to climb the stairway through luck, due to the rules of the Star Tower, they would have to fight at least once in a while. It was precisely because of this rule that those who were not strong enough to climb the stairway to heaven would fall from the stairway to heaven. When he had climbed the tower previously, most of the duelists he had been matched with were men. But this time Lin Yuan was matched with a female spirit chi professional. The female spirit chi professional, who was standing opposite Lin Yuan, was about to say something to the air when she saw Lin Yuan, and she was startled. After carefully checking Lin Yuan's battle record, the female spirit chi professional gritted her teeth and said, "That's right? You're Black? Tell me, do you know the moderator of your Cheba forum and the moderator of your official fan group, that son of a bitch called Zuan?" Baiduan immediately read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 226. Just as Lin Yuan was fighting Poison Beauty on Star Web as Black, Poison Beauty suddenly appeared. Black's current deeds were so legendary and so popular. Naturally, a portion of the viewers in Poison Beauty's live streaming room were fans of her and also fans of Black. Therefore, the duel between Poison Beauty and Black was spread. At that moment, a large number of viewers crazily poured into Poison Beauty's live streaming room, and it became really lively. Cold Wind, I'm here to cheer for my male god Black. Poison Beauty, this auntie kept on talking about something. If you want to fight, hurry up and fight. Wandering soul, Little Sister Poison's acting skills are getting better and better. It's simply art. If Little Sister Poison didn't do it every time she was matched with an opponent, I would have almost believed it. I have a story, you prepare wine. Auntie Poison is about to die from anger from Black. He's really a straight man and his words are so ridiculous. What do I want? Poison Beauty is a support-type spirit chi professional. The people behind the fog should have already started their battle formation. I'm really worried for Black. I wonder if he knows. Are you stupid? The commenter above is obviously an old viewer of Old Lady Poison. You even know the trick so well. At that moment, Long Tao was leading the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team members and reserve team members in a coaching battle. After hearing that Black was going to fight in the second round of the Celestial Stairway promotion competition, he was shocked. He pulled the main team and reserve team members to the viewing room to watch Black's second Celestial Stairway promotion duel. They were there to watch Black's second Celestial Stairway promotion duel. Long Tao had not been able to contact Black during this period. Long Tao knew that the Extreme Guild Club's S Tournament reserve team members knew Black. However, at this stage, everyone was preparing for the S Tournament. As the captain of the main team of the A-level Dragon Gate Guild Club, Long Tao naturally would not rashly contact the reserve team members of the B-level Guild Club's S Tournament team. If this was spread as news by someone with ulterior motives, it would probably cause a lot of trouble in this season. Long Tao naturally hoped to be able to contact Black. Regardless of whether he succeeded or not, he would at least have a face-to-face talk first. Black's second Celestial Stairway promotion duel was equivalent to an observation of Black for Long Tao. This would allow Long Tao to better understand Black's strength. Other than wanting to blacklist him for an interview, Long Tao also felt that Black's temperament was inexplicably familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. This sense of familiarity made Long Tao unable to figure it out. This made Long Tao very mad. The members of the Dragon Gate Guild Club had been training crazily during this period of time. During these days of boring training, the name they heard the most was Black. Therefore, the members of the Dragon Gate Guild Club had a deep impression of Black and were very curious about him. Needless to say, Qing Hongfeng was defeated by Black in the last Celestial Stairway promotion competition. Qin Hongfeng couldn't accept it no matter how he thought about it. If he had known that Black had a fey like the blue flash purple butterfly, he wouldn't have been unable to take precautions in advance and let the huge-tailed swamp lizard be firmly controlled by the blue flash purple butterfly. Therefore, Qing Hongfeng was very concerned about Black's second Celestial Stairway promotion duel. He wanted to see if he had lost unjustly. Qin Hongfeng knew that compared to Poison Beauty's strength, he was not as powerful as her. He might even be exhausted to death by Poison Beauty after fighting for 20 minutes. However, Qing Hongfeng felt that he was 7 or 8 years younger than her. Sometimes youth was capital. Qing Hongfeng was also confident that when he was the same age as Poison Beauty, he could leave her behind by 7 or 8 streets. After playing the Fey Battle Flag game with Lu Jie and Wenyu, he returned to his room and did not choose to sleep. Instead, he logged onto Star Web. It was the same for Lu Jie. Lu Jie was about to log onto Star Web and call Bai Hao for sparring. After a few days of sparring, Lu Jie had become more proficient in his Insect Queen's combat system. However, when Lu Jie looked for Bai Hao this time, Bai Hao replied with a message. Ranger Bai Hao, wait for me for a while. I'm going to watch a live broadcast. When Lu Jie saw Bai Hao's message, he could not help but be a little speechless. Heart of Insect Swarm Lu Jie, it's that face-blocking live streamer called Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess again? Ranger Bai Hao, don't insult the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. What's wrong with face blocking? Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess hopes that we can pay more attention to her singing voice and not her appearance. This shows that she's not a superficial person but a person with great connotation and poetic charm. Lu Jie was a little speechless. What did I say? I didn't say anything. Brainless fans are really scary. Heart of Insect Swarm Lu Jie, what other live streamers are you going to watch if not the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess? Come and train. Ranger Bai Hao, I'm going to watch Black's Battle live broadcast. Black's bird phase cry is very pleasant to listen to. It makes me feel like I'm listening to the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess sing. Since the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess isn't live streaming, I'm going to listen to the bird phase cry as a way to miss the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. At that moment, Lu Jie felt that brainless fans were not scary. A brainless fan called Bai Hao was scary. Lu Jie was used to big storms, so his curiosity was not that strong. He had heard of Black's recent appearance. Many people compared Black's heroic deeds in Millstone Town with his heroic deeds. Lu Jie did not know what Black had done in Millstone Town, but he knew that it was not so easy to be a hero. This was because the moment one decided to be a hero, one should already have the awareness of sacrificing for radiance. In Lu Jie's opinion, Black might have been the same at that time. Since Bai Hao had gone to watch Black's live streaming, Lu Jie thought that he might as well go and take a look too. He asked Bai Hao to send him a link to Black's live streaming room. Lu Jie clicked on the link sent by Bai Hao. When the Radiance 100 sequence members entered the Star Web live streaming room, there would be a special reminder. If Lu Jie wanted to return to the Radiance 100 sequence, he would need to pass the Radiance Federation's internal special assessment this year and participate in the Radiance 100 sequences ranking. Before the Radiance 100 sequences ranking really started, Lu Jie could fight for a sequence in the Radiance 100 according to his strength. This was the privilege that the Radiance Federation had given Lu Jie as a hero who had retired due to serious injuries and had now returned to the Radiance 100 sequence. However, since Lu Jie was still not a Radiance 100 sequence member, there was no special reminder for him to enter Poison Beauty's live streaming room. However, it was different for Patroller Bai Hao, who was Radiance 100 sequence number 87. As soon as Bai Hao entered Poison Beauty's live streaming room, he immediately attracted the attention of countless people. The topic of the live streaming room shifted from the duel between Poison Beauty and Black to Patroller Bai Hao, who was Radiance 100 sequence number 87. Countless people sent their regards to Bai Hao. The bullet screen was filled with rows of "Good evening, Lord Patroller." This was enough to show the Radiance 100 sequence's status and prestige in the Radiance Federation. However, Lu Jie did not seem to care about all of this at all. At that moment, Lu Jie's eyes were filled with the azure blue bird flying above the silver-masked youth. The moment the azure bird entered Lu Jie's line of sight, Lu Jie's eyes lit up. Lu Jie was completely dumbstruck by what he saw. This was because he was simply too familiar with this azure blue bird. Baiduan read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 227. Wasn't this azure blue bird the silver/fantasy breed Fey that Lin Yuan had contracted? Lu Jie was already very familiar with Chaimi during this period of time. Due to Lin Yuan's close relationship with Lu Jie, Chaimi had seen it. Therefore, Chaimi was also relatively close to Lu Jie and would occasionally eat the usnea leaves that Lu Jie fed it. Now, Lu Jie actually saw Chaimi in Black's Celestial Stairway promotion duel. Black's identity was self-evident. Ever since Lu Jie became Lin Yuan's retainer, he knew that Lin Yuan always had his own standards and persistence in doing things. He had his own understanding and views of things. He was also very hardworking. To Lu Jie, Lin Yuan had always been like a cloud of fog that he could not see through. At first, Lu Jie only knew that Lin Yuan was a Class 2 creation master. However, the more he interacted with Lin Yuan, the more Lu Jie felt that he should understand Lin Yuan, and the more he felt that Lin Yuan was more mysterious. Until now, Lu Jie unexpectedly learned another layer of Lin Yuan's identity. Lin Yuan's other identity was the Radiance Federation's newly rising young hero, Black. Lu Jie remembered that he could always hear people comparing Black's deeds with his own. Lu Jie instinctively had a good impression of Black. Perhaps this was like the recognition between people with the same beliefs. However, Lu Jie did not expect that the people he was loyal to were both Lin Yuan and Black. Lu Jie thought of the bits and pieces he had gotten along with Lin Yuan. Such a youth had made the same choice as him when in danger. Lu Jie looked at Lin Yuan and the support-type spirit chi professional called Poison Beauty and could not help but be a little anxious. Given Lu Jie's combat experience, he naturally saw at a glance that Poison Beauty was stalling for time and wanted her support-type Fey to spend time to lay out an attack. Therefore, Lu Jie was a little worried about Lin Yuan now, afraid that he would lose this Celestial Stairway promotion duel because he had given Poison Beauty a lot of time to prepare. Lu Jie knew that Lin Yuan had Chaimi, a silver/fantasy breed Fey. However, he never knew how strong Lin Yuan was as a combat class spirit chi professional. In fact, when Poison Beauty had stood up from the ground, her 4 contracted Feys had already taken up their positions. Poison Beauty had been thinking of ways to talk to Black. On one hand, it was for the program effect. On the other hand, he was forcefully suppressing the excitement in his heart. As a streamer who had been stuck in the Celestial Stairway promotion duels in the Star Tower, it was naturally impossible for Poison Beauty to not know about the popularity caused by the duel between Qin Hongfeng and Black. The popularity had increased the number of viewers in Qin Hongfeng's live streaming channel by more than 10 times. Qin Hongfeng's explosive popularity really made Poison Beauty envious. Poison Beauty had been fantasizing about how great it would be if she could meet Black in the Celestial Stairway promotion competition. During the duel between Black and Qin Hongfeng, Poison Beauty had carefully studied Black's combat power. The final conclusion made Poison Beauty very jealous of this Radiance Dollar Warrior. In Poison Beauty's opinion, although Black's strength was not bad, its true strength mostly came from the Fae's extremely high quality and species. Poison Beauty felt that if she fought against Black, based on the strength that Black and Qin Hongfeng had displayed, she would have a 100% chance of winning. Poison Beauty did not expect that she would be so lucky to encounter Black today when she matched the Star Web Celestial Stairway promotion duels as usual. Poison Beauty could already foresee that there would be 10 times more viewers in her live streaming channel than before. Poison Beauty was now wholeheartedly thinking of defeating Black in a gorgeous manner in the duel. Poison Beauty believed that as long as she could defeat Black, she would be able to become a popular Star Web duel streamer with absolute topicality and popularity. Upon hearing Black's subconscious words, Poison Beauty was infuriated. However, Poison Beauty did not show it. Instead, she stood there with a concave posture that looked very domineering at first glance but very comical at a closer look. Black, your undefeatable legend will be magnificently ended by me, Poison Beauty, today. Lin Yuan felt that he really could not understand this old woman called Poison Beauty. How can a person be so delusional? I've only obtained some consecutive victories in the Star Tower duels. How am I an undefeatable legend? Moreover, what the hell is a magnificently ending? Doesn't this big sister know how ugly her contracted Faes are? At that moment, Lin Yuan ignored Poison Beauty. Instead, he was using true data and the mask that Genius had transformed into to spy on the 4 Faes that Poison Beauty had summoned. Fae name: Illusory Mist Jackdaw, Fae species, Feathered Crow/Raven, Fae grade, Gold, 910, Fae type, Water/Poison, Fae quality, Elite abilities: Frowny Face Crow Cry, emits a violent cry that can cause the target to fall into a manic and annoyed mood. Turbid Fog. Releases thin fog that contains a lot of water vapor with hallucinogenic effects. Inhaling the water vapor with hallucinogenic effects will cause the target to be in a state of confusion. Life-corroding Cold Fog. The extremely cold fog will gradually slow down the target's movements and accelerate the loss of the target's energy in the cold fog. Boiling Poisonous Fog. Releases a kind of fog that will not cause any harm to a healthy target when inhaled into the body. However, if there is a wound on the target's body, the boiling poisonous fog will quickly draw the target's vitality into the fog. Exclusive skill: Frowny Face Illusory Fog. Causes the fog to become extremely white and can perfectly isolate the target's line of sight in the fog. The target's visibility in the fog will reach the lowest level. Fae name: Poison Weaving Dark Spider, Fae species, Ornithity/Crown Spider, Fae grade, Gold, 710, Fae type, Poison, Fae quality, Flawless abilities: Frowny Face Spider Silk Spray, shoots an extremely sticky spider silk at the target. The sticky spider silk will adhere to the target's body surface. Poisonous Spider Web. The poisonous web that is shot out is not poisonous, but if there is poison in the air, the spider web will quickly absorb the poison on the poisonous web. At the same time, the poison in the air will be purified and attached to the spider web. Misty Spider Web. Can spread the unformed spider web in the silk sac into the air and form a misty spider web. The misty spider web can exist in the air for a short period of time. Weaving Web Attachment. After the misty spider web comes into contact with the poison, it will rapidly absorb the poison's energy and form a complete poisonous spider web. Exclusive skill: Frowny Face Spider Web Attraction. The sticky spider silk will have a natural attraction to the poisonous spider web. After the poisonous spider web is formed, it will automatically cover the sticky spider silk. After seeing Poison Beauty's 2 contracted gold phase true data, Venom Beauty's eyes widened. Lin Yuan immediately knew Poison Beauty's combat style as a support-type Spirit Chi professional. Poison Beauty was really a Spirit Chi professional who had chosen her phase for the Star Tower duel. Poison Beauty's contracted phase weren't suitable for solo combat in the wild. Similarly, Poison Beauty's contracted phase were also extremely unsuitable for teaming up with others. If a combat class Spirit Chi professional took things too hard and teamed up with Poison Beauty, they would probably be affected by her Fae and get poisoned before the battle even started just by staying near her contracted Fae. In addition to the 2 gold Faes, Poison Beauty also had 2 silver Faes. These 2 silver Faes were Silver X/Elite. One of them was a Silver X/Elite Carrion Umbrella Mushroom. Silver X/Elite Carrion Umbrella Mushrooms can release a large number of fungi into the air that accelerate the decay of wounds and toxins that cause healthy skin to rot and bleed. When these fungi and toxins are used, they will directly cover the air. Except for Poison Beauty, the contractor herself. Other life forms, even the other contracted phase, will also be affected by the carrion umbrella mushroom's poisonous gas within the range of the poisonous gas. Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 228. Fortunately, Poison Beauty's phase were poison type, so the carrion umbrella mushroom had little effect on her other phase. Poison Beauty's fourth phase was also her second silver phase. It was a silver X/elite tainted toad. The tainted toad was an earth-type phase, and it could contaminate a small area of land, causing the soil to be poisoned. If a phase stepped on it, it would instantly be poisoned. Bodies that came into contact with the contaminated soil would fester and bleed. In fact, this silver X/elite tainted toad's land contamination was also considered a kind of defense against land phase. He had already seen through Poison Beauty's talent. She was a spirit chi professional with an affinity for support-type poison-type phase. This talent was very strong, but Poison Beauty's choice of contracted phase and fighting style made Lin Yuan feel that she was a little unconventional and had gone astray. This was really letting down Poison Beauty's rare talent. After all, it was impossible for a spirit chi professional to just be a star tower duelist. The milk-like mist the gold 9/elite illusory mist Jackdaw spat out should be mixed with turbid mist, life-corroding cold poison, and boiling poison mist, which were three kinds of poisonous gases produced by the three skills. Turbid mist, life-corroding cold poison, and seething poison mist. These three skills produced three types of poisonous gases, and when combined with the illusory mist Jackdaw's exclusive skill Illusion Mist, it produced an excellent control and weakening effect. There were many types of control. For example, the gold 9/elite illusory mist Jackdaw's control effect was to control vision through thick fog. The gold 9/elite illusory mist Jackdaw's gold ability, Seething Poison Mist, could also be used with two silver phase. Whether it was the silver X/elite carrion parasol mushroom or the silver X/elite tainted toad skills, they would cause the target's body to rot and damage its surface. When the surface of the target's body was damaged, the boiling poisonous mist could quickly extract the target's life force from the target's body into the mist. At the same time, whether it was the gold 9/elite illusory mist Jackdaw or the two silver X/elite carrion parasol mushroom and tainted toad, they could all be used with the gold 7/flawless poison weaving dark spider. These toxins overflowed in the air and were matched with the poison weaving dark spider's silver abilities, atomizing spider web and gold web attachment. They allowed the unformed spider web in the poison-weaving dark spider's silk sacs to absorb the poisonous gas in the air without restriction. They allowed the spider webs in the poison-weaving dark spider's silk sacs to absorb the poisonous gas in the air without restriction. This combination allowed the gold 7/flawless poison-weaving dark spider to possess an extremely powerful crowd control ability. This combination allowed the poison-weaving dark spider to transform the spider's group control into, and to transform the spider's silk spray and mist spider web spider exclusive ability. The gold 7/flawless poison weaving dark spider's basic skill, spider silk spray and exclusive skill, spider web attraction, allowed the gold 7/flawless poison weaving dark spider to transform its crowd control into a powerful single target control. Lin Yuan had to admit that with Poison Beauty's strength, she was indeed qualified to stir up trouble in the Celestial Stairway promotion duel. After understanding Poison Beauty's contracted phase, Lin Yuan already had a plan in his heart for this duel. Red Thorn and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee would not be of much use to Lin Yuan in this duel. Red Thorn's current level was still too low, so it could only play a controlling role in the tower duel. The duel in the Star Tower was not like under the dimensional rift in the real world, where there was so much flesh energy for Red Thorn to unscrupulously produce a sea of flowers. When Poison Beauty had set up the field behind the fog, Lin Yuan had seen through Genius Mask that she should not be a C-rank Spirit Chi professional. Instead, she was a B-rank Spirit Chi professional. Otherwise, behind this fog, the range of Poison Beauty's Fey would not be so large. Therefore, if Lin Yuan used Red Thorn to produce a sea of flowers to compete with Poison Beauty, he would be the one to be exhausted. Moreover, if the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee did not hide in the flowers produced by Red Thorn, it would not be able to achieve that kind of covert assassination effect. In addition, with the gold 7/flawless web-weaving dark spider and the poison scattered in half of the field, it could absorb enough energy from the poison to produce a poisonous spider web. These obstacles would have a great impact on the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's assassination. Therefore, Lin Yuan only had one way to go now. Poison Beauty tried to strike a pose for a long time and said a few harsh words, but she found that Black was still indifferent and didn't pay attention to her. Poison Beauty immediately became embarrassed. Poison Beauty considered herself a good actress, but no matter how good her acting skills were, it would be useless if the opponent did not act with her. In this way, Poison Beauty was like a drama queen, singing a one-man show. Poison Beauty rolled her eyes and said, "Black, do you know you're really weak? Black, do you know you're really weak?" In fact, as early as when Poison Beauty had provoked Black, her live streaming room had already exploded. This was because most of the people who flocked to her live streaming room were Black's fans. Poison Beauty publicly said that the haters were very weak and kept provoking the haters. This naturally caused the haters' fans to be extremely dissatisfied. Poison Beauty also understood that her provocation towards Black would cause such a situation. However, this could indeed bring about a lot of popularity. As a star web streamer, Poison Beauty had been criticized a lot for being stuck in the Celestial Stairway promotion duels. In Poison Beauty's opinion, Black and Red was also a type of red. To Poison Beauty, only by becoming famous would she be able to save a large sum of Radiance dollars as soon as possible and upgrade her Gold 7/Flawless Poison Weaving Dark Spider to Epic. When Lin Yuan heard that, he raised his brows. Since Poison Beauty always wanted to mess with his mentality, then he would follow her wishes. However, Lin Yuan felt that the one who was going to be fooled was not him but Poison Beauty. Poison Beauty was worried that Black would not take the move, but Black's sudden words made Poison Beauty feel relieved. However, after Poison Beauty heard what Black said, she immediately shut herself off. After a short period of isolation, she exploded. Poison Beauty heard Black say faintly, "There shouldn't be any team that wants you, right?" This sentence was like a sharp knife stabbing into the eternal pain in Poison Beauty's heart. With a cold face, Poison Beauty hid in the fog and said, "In 20 minutes you'll fall off the star web streak list." Lin Yuan did not expect that when he had just started messing with Poison Beauty's mentality she would explode. He still had a lot of things to say, but it seemed like he would not have the chance to say them. "Don't worry. Even if I lose, the first place on the streak list will still be mine. Unless you can win 102 matches in a row and push me down." Suddenly Lin Yuan heard a faint sound of teeth chattering. He could not help but think to himself, "Don't worry. Even if I lose, the first place on the streak list will still be mine, unless you can win 102 matches in a row and push me down." With such a long distance between them, just how angry was Poison Beauty for her to grit her teeth so hard? Poison Beauty actually wanted to play a mentality battle with such a mentality. Poison Beauty's angry voice came from the fog. "Black, the poison and the spider web will let you know what torture is in a while." Lin Yuan glanced at Chimey, which was flying in the air. The moment Lin Yuan's eyes behind the mask collided with Chimey's eyes, the man and bird's eyes instantly became firm. Lin Yuan said loudly, "There's no need for that. There's no need for a while. Ineen, clear up." Chimey flapped its wings and let out a clear cry in the sky. The clear cry was crisp and pleasant, giving by how goosebumps in Poison Beauty's live streaming room. After Chimey's clear cry, it was as though a rising sun had appeared in the sky. The scorching sun roasted the milk-like poisonous fog, instantly evaporating the milk-like poisonous fog. Chimey's exclusive skill, Clear Up, directly restrained the poisonous fog released by the Gold 9/Elite Illusory Mist Jackdaw. The Illusory Mist Jackdaw was a poison water type fae. The fog contained a lot of water, which was completely evaporated by the scorching sun. However, the poison in the air was still there, but it had weakened a lot with the extraction of the water elements. After Chimey used Clear Up, Lin Yuan shouted into the air, "Chimey, Radiant Body?" At that moment, Lin Yuan left only 1/10 of his spiritual power and gave the rest to Chimey. It helped Chimey's radiant body absorb sunlight and accumulate energy. The sun in the sky that appeared due to the exclusive skill, Clear Sky, fused with Chimey's petite azure blue body. Chimey's azure body absorbed the golden sunlight, and all of its feathers instantly turned a faint golden color when the sunlight fused into its body. The faint golden radiance was even more dazzling than the sun. The cloud patterns on Chimey's body immediately produced misty clouds, and the stars in the clouds shone. As sunlight was constantly absorbed into Chimey's body, the stars in the clouds converged into a radiant sun. Chimey's body instantly ignited with a glazed flame that was like the sun's radiance. Chimey's body also soared to a meter long under the spread of the flame. At that moment, Chimey was like a magnificent divine bird that had always carried the sun's will. At that moment, Chimey's light wings flapped, ignoring all obstacles, and it crashed straight toward Poison Beauty. Baidu read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 229. Chimey, whose body was burning with a glazed flame that resembled a clear radiance, was like a divine bird that was infused with boundless light. It only took a moment for Chimey to change from an azure bird to its current state. It was so fast that Poison Beauty could not react at all and could not command her contracted fae. While Poison Beauty was in a daze, the Gold 7/Flawless Poison Weaving Dark Spider had already instinctively used its silver ability, Atomized Spider Web, and gold ability, Weaving Web Attachment, to produce highly toxic spider webs to protect its contractor. It wanted to use these poisonous spider webs to stop Chimey's momentum. However, the temperature of the glass-like flame on Chimey's body was simply too high. In addition, Chimey was constantly releasing scattered light as it flew over. The scorching chaotic light combined with the glazed flame on Chimey's body burned the poisonous spiderwebs to ashes when they were 10 meters away from Chimey. The Silver X/Elite Carrion Umbrella Mushroom was desperately releasing fungus and toxins into the air. However, before any toxins could get close to Chimey, they were burned into nothingness by the glass-like flame. As a duelist who had experienced 1,000 star web duels, Poison Beauty had recovered from her momentary absent-mindedness. 3 words flashed in Poison Beauty's mind. Fantasy breed. This petite azure bluebird fae had not exerted its strength in the previous Celestial Stairway promotion duel. Instead, it had used its body to help Black block the energy beam and died. However, such an azure bluebird was actually a fantasy breed. Poison Beauty was no longer in the mood to think so much. Poison Beauty commanded the Silver X/Elite Tainted Toad beside her, relying on her rich combat awareness. Swallow me and quickly jump away. At this moment, the Silver X/Elite Tainted Toad was burying its limbs deep in the ground, constantly polluting the ground. Now that it heard Poison Beauty's command, the Silver X/Elite Tainted Toad stuck out its tongue and swallowed Poison Beauty. Poison Beauty had already abandoned the Silver X/Elite Tainted Toad. In this duel, she wanted to use this Tainted Toad's body as a meat shield to protect herself. The Tainted Toad was a creature that was very good at jumping. As long as its strong muscles on its hind legs kicked, it would not be a problem to jump dozens of meters away. Poison Beauty believed that as long as the Tainted Toad could jump away, even if she would be seriously injured, she should be able to keep her life. However, just as the Tainted Toad was about to pull its limbs out of the polluted land and jump to the side, however, the Tainted Toad found that its 4 limbs were firmly locked in the soil, and it couldn't move at all. There was no time for the Tainted Toad and Poison Beauty to think. The Twilight Starbird, Chimey, which was burning with glazed flames, struck the Tainted Toad that had swallowed Poison Beauty. This collision wasn't bloody, because the instant the Tainted Toad and Chimey came into contact, the Tainted Toad's body ignited with a glazed flame that was like the clear radiance of the sun. Under this glazed flame, the dirty and ugly Tainted Toad seemed to be purified and turned into ashes along with Poison Beauty. At this point, Lin Yuan's second Celestial Stairway promotion duel had ended. He had now reached the top of the Celestial Stairway and climbed to the top of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan looked at the place where Poison Beauty and the Tainted Toad had disappeared and said coldly, breaking all techniques with brute force. Lin Yuan was not saying this to show off his victory. Instead, he wanted to be inspired if Poison Beauty could watch this duel again in the live streaming room. Not only was Poison Beauty's Fey combination not good for a team, but it would also not be accepted by her teammates. At the same time, as a support-type Spirit Chi professional, Poison Beauty's lineup did not have a pillar that could carry the battle. Poison Beauty would have to think about what kind of Fey she would need to fill this pillar. In a combination without a pillar, she would not be able to carry out effective measures in the face of a sudden outbreak and could only endure it. This would make it impossible to exert the strength that she originally had. Poison Beauty's current weakness was the same as the weakness that Lin Yuan had exposed in the previous Celestial Stairway promotion duel. In fact, the mist produced by the Gold 9/Elite Illusory Mist Jackdaw could not be an effective means to protect Poison Beauty. However, before this duel started, Lin Yuan had made up for the lack of defensive ability in the previous duel and erased his shortcomings. When Lin Yuan left the battlefield, Poison Beauty's live streaming room was already in an uproar, and the entire bullet screen was covered with these words. Breaking all techniques with brute force. This sentence perfectly explained how this heroic young man with the silver mask had single-handedly used absolute power to settle the battle in an instant. Occasionally, 1 or 2 bullet screens said, "Why are there some flashes of light where Poison Beauty disappeared?" However, such bullet screens were quickly drowned in the countless breaking all techniques with brute force. If Lin Yuan saw this bullet screen, he would definitely smile in his heart. The reflective part of the soil was due to the sand created by the source sand, which had been baked into glass by the glazed light flame on Chimey's body. It was the residual light left by the unsolidified glass reflecting the scattered light in the polluted soil. Patrolman Bai Hao, who was ranked 87th in the Radiance 100 sequence, was staring at Poison Beauty's live-streaming room in a daze. Bai Hao suddenly felt a little depressed. I just felt that this azure blue bird's cry was nice. Did it count as cheating on the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess? I'm Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's #1 fan. How can this happen? With this thought, Bai Hao felt even more guilty. Thus, Bai Hao entered the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's usual live-streaming room. Even if the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess was not live-streaming, Bai Hao still gritted his teeth and rewarded the remaining 5 million Radiance dollars in his star web card to the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. Bai Hao felt comfortable when he saw that he was at the top of the leaderboard and was dozens of streets ahead of the leaderboard. In the Dragon Gate Club's viewing room, Long Tao said to Fong Duo after watching Black's battle. I misjudged last time. This bird species Flying Fae is actually a silver fantasy breed. Fong Duo gulped and nodded with difficulty. Black had already revealed 2 silver/fantasy breed fays. Regardless of Black's talent or whether these 2 silver/fantasy breeds were source-type lifeforms or fays. Given Black's current ability level, he could be called the Radiance Federation's true prodigy. Although Black's strength had increased infinitely after this silver/fantasy breed avian fae exerted its power, Black's strength had increased infinitely. However, he was still quite a distance away from the Radiance 100 sequence. Now, if the Radiance 100 sequence members did not have platinum combat power, they would not even be qualified to enter the game. Of course, it would be different if there were gold/fantasy breed fays. Long Tao pondered for a moment and said, at present, the members of the guild's main team will be decided like this. If Black joins the team, this year's S tournament's main team will bring him along. If Black doesn't join the team, Little Feng will replace the main team. This year's S tournament will continue to rely on brute force. Based on what Long Tao had said, Qin Hongfeng should be hoping that Black would not join the team no matter what so that he could replace the main team. However, the duel just now had made Qin Hongfeng sincerely convinced of his previous Celestial Stairway promotion duel with Black. Although Qin Hongfeng wanted to join the main team and gallop in the arena. Compared to these, Qin Hongfeng was first and foremost a member of the Dragon Gate Guild Club. Qin Hongfeng knew that if Black could enter the arena, his healing ability would be much more useful to the team than him. As a high-spirited youth, Qin Hongfeng might be utilitarian or jealous of geniuses who were similar to him. However, Qin Hongfeng also had a sense of honor and mission as a member of the Dragon Gate Guild Club. This sense of collective honor and mission made Qin Hongfeng hope that Black could join the main team. This sense of honor and mission might seem very weak, but it was actually hiding a faint radiance firefly. Fong Duo touched his watermelon head and rolled his eyes. Boss, can you contact Black? Long Tao shook his head upon hearing this and said, I'll think of something. You don't have to worry about it. Then Long Tao continued to speak seriously. Let's review the fight between Black and Poison Beauty first. I feel that there's something wrong with the ground under Poison Beauty's feet. After reviewing the fight, we won't be training in the training room anymore. There's still more than a month before the start of the S tournament. We'll go to the Class 2-dimensional rift for real training. Bai Duan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 230. After Bai Hao sent the remaining 5 million Radiance dollars in his star web card to the Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess, he immediately contacted Lu Jie. In the end, he did not expect Lu Jie, who had been urging him to carry out combat training, to actually say that he had something to attend to and log off Star Web. After logging off the Star Web, Lu Jie stood by the window and looked at the night sky as he made a decision. However, now that Lu Jie was Lin Yuan's retainer knight, he had to seek Lin Yuan's opinion on every decision he made. Lu Jie planned to go to the wilderness to train because the most effective way to improve his strength was to truly stand between life and death. It was just like how some people could hear the voice in their hearts and act on it. These people would either become lunatics or legends. It was the same for spirit chi professionals. Only in times of danger would one's potential burst out with the most intense sparks and transform into strength that could be grasped tightly in one's hands. Lu Jie went to bed early that night. Lu Jie, who had fallen asleep early, had a dream. In the dream, she tried her best to become a barrier that could block the danger in front of the young man, but the young man's shadow was getting longer and longer. As a result, his barrier seemed a little too weak. The oppressive feeling in his sleep made him furrow his brows. It was obvious how much he desired to increase his strength. After the second Celestial Stairway promotion duel, he had truly ascended the Celestial Stairway. At that moment, Lin Yuan received a notification from the Star Web officials. At a glance, Lin Yuan knew that due to his consecutive victories on the Celestial Stairway, he had reached the Celestial Stairway's achievement qualification. The Celestial Stairway achievement was a very high honor on the Celestial Stairway. Many Heaven Stairway powerhouses were working hard to break the Heaven Stairway's record, hoping to achieve the Heaven Stairway's achievement. Any record holder of a Celestial Stairway achievement would have a virtual image generated in the Star Tower, standing on the Celestial Stairway achievement altar for the duelists to admire. Lin Yuan could not help but be dumbfounded. He had actually obtained such a Celestial Stairway achievement after his consecutive victories. Lin Yuan's identity card had also changed. Name, black gender, male height, 178 centimeters weight, 61 kg Star Tower floor, Celestial Stairway 0 star Spirit Chi occupation, healing type professional occupation level, C contracted Fey, Morbius bronze 10/legend, 1000 questions beast bronze level 1, legendary, Twilight Starbird silver 1 fantasy eye, Red Thorn bronze 5/epic, Acid Corrosion Queen Bee gold level 1 legendary, Source Sand bronze 10 fantasy eye, Battle Record Sad Face Star Tower, 100 matches 100 wins 0 losses. Highest floor of 100 Celestial Stairway promotion match, 2 matches, 2 wins, 0 losses Stairway 0 matches, 0 wins 0 losses, 0 consecutive wins. 0 highest number of stars. Lin Yuan looked at his brand new identity card and nodded in satisfaction. However, he no longer planned to participate in the Celestial Stairway duels. It was not that he was afraid of encountering a strong opponent on the Celestial Stairway, causing him to lose the duel and fall back to the promotion duel. It was because he felt that honing his techniques and combat awareness in the Star Web Tower was ultimately too shallow. Previously, he had not been strong enough and could not wander around the Radiance Federation's endless land. However, he now felt that he already had such an ability. Lin Yuan had lived 2 lives, and in his previous life, Lin Yuan had experienced the flourishing world of sensual pleasures. In this life, Lin Yuan, who lived in the present, also wanted to go to this great world to see the wonders of this world as well as good and evil. Lin Yuan checked Tian Ningning's message again and simply asked her to sign the exclusive reporter contract. If Tian Ningning became his exclusive reporter, then all his news and combat records on Star Web would be written by her in the future. As his exclusive reporter, Tian Ningning could only serve him alone. Such a model made Lin Yuan feel that he could indeed save a lot of unnecessary trouble. Lin Yuan sent a message to Tian Ningning and asked her to meet at the Star Web Center on Star Web. The Star Web Center on the Star Web Tower was the same as the Star Web Center in the Imperial Capital in the real world. It was just that the Star Web Center on Star Web was more convenient and more efficient. Since Lin Yuan and Tian Ningning had already discussed the conditions, it was very simple to sign the exclusive reporter contract. In the contract, Lin Yuan would still not accept any interviews. At the same time, Tian Ningning also promised to write all the news about Black in a truthful manner, whether it was combat records or news reports. Lin Yuan also needed to make a corresponding promise to Tian Ningning. For example, when some major events happened, Tian Ningning could directly understand the real situation from him. In general, the conditions of the signed contract were completely biased toward Lin Yuan. The main reason was that Tian Ningning had never been in control of the right to speak. Instead, she was doing her best to meet Lin Yuan's requirements. It was not because Tian Ningning deliberately flattered him in order to become Black's exclusive reporter. It was just that she was more willing to believe in this youth who had once been covered in the Radiance Firefly light in Millstone Town. After Lin Yuan logged out of Star Web, he washed up and went to sleep. 5 consecutive days of enhancing the Source-type Source Sand and this Celestial Stairway promotion duel had really exhausted Lin Yuan. There was no one in a room that was decorated in a very stylish and luxurious manner. The window was completely open, and the autumn wind poured into the room through the window, causing the room to be covered with a layer of chill that could immediately make one's hair stand on end. Countless crows with scarlet eyes and black bodies poured in through the window. Finally, these crows gathered together and turned into a middle-aged man with a triangular scar at the corner of his eye. The moment the middle-aged man appeared, he closed the window and then respectfully knelt on the ground. He said respectfully to a golden datura flower that was blooming on the table, "Chanter Crow greets Lord 7th Page War." After the middle-aged man with a triangular scar at the corner of his eye finished speaking, the golden datura flower that was blooming on the table suddenly emitted a powerful and austere aura. This kind of desolation contained death, vagrancy, unpredictable darkness, and chaos hidden in the darkness. When the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye appeared, he immediately lowered his head even more, and a fine layer of cold sweat appeared on his back. At this moment, a dignified voice that seemed to be filled with pity yet endless mockery could be heard saying this. "What's the matter?" The man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye did not dare to raise his head at all. He could only lower his head and make his voice more respectful. "Lord 7th Page War, I have placed source-type items that can increase the cracks in the dimensional rifts that have not yet been sealed in the Radiance Federation." At that point, the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye paused before carefully saying, "Cheng Wu has been killed." "It's just that Cheng Wu has already been killed. I don't know if Cheng Wu has exposed the plan and if it will affect your next arrangements." All of a sudden, the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye felt a pressure coming toward him. The man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye did not even have the courage to breathe. At that moment, the austere voice that coexisted with pity and ridicule rang out. "He's been killed." The man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye hurriedly answered. "He was killed by the Radiance Federation's Moon Empress." After a long time, just when the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye felt that his heart was about to reach his throat, the austere voice that coexisted with pity and ridicule slowly rang out. However, this austere voice that coexisted with pity and ridicule seemed to contain deep fear. "The Moon Empress killed him? It's actually the Moon Empress. The Radiance Federation's plan will be immediately slowed down and suspended for now. Lord 7th Page War, what about the plan in the sea? Things in the sea will continue as usual." All of a sudden, the austere voice that coexisted with pity and ridicule became more ruthless. "You're the leader of the Radiance Federation's operation this time, but something went wrong. You've been stuck at Suzerain/Myth 2 for a long time now, right?" The man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye suddenly turned pale and spoke in a trembling voice. "Yes, Lord 7th Page War." An endless contemptuous laugh bloomed in this austere and ruthless voice. "Hey, if things are done well, as one of the 8 pages and the master of the Tower of War, I can grant you the position of one of the 12 Warden Scholars. However, if you don't do it well, then you're useless. Useless people are destined to become dust under the iron hooves of war." As this austere voice that coexisted with pity and ridicule fell, the pressure completely disappeared. The golden datura flower that was blooming brightly also withered in an instant. The cold sweat on the forehead of the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye had already dripped onto the ground. Even though that pressure had completely disappeared, the man with the triangular scar at the corner of his eye was still kneeling on the ground and did not dare to get up until dawn the next day. Baidu, read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 231. The next day, when the morning sun shone into the house, the furniture that was completely made of jade textured wood exuded a soft light. There was a kind of quaint charm circulating in the room. Genius nestled in Lin Yuan's chest and slept soundly. Chimey was nestled in Lin Yuan's neck, and the feathers on its head would rub against Lin Yuan's neck when it moved its little head. This slight commotion made Lin Yuan open his eyes. This kind of wholehearted relaxation could wash away all the fatigue from before, no matter how tired they were before. Lin Yuan carefully placed Genius and Chimey on the pillow. He then shifted the blanket upward so that Genius and Chimey's little heads were exposed. Then he picked up a set of clothes that Wen Yu had helped prepare in advance last night and put them on before leaving the room. Lin Yuan basically never wore white clothes. Now that he was wearing white silk home clothes, it made him look even more youthful. When he went downstairs, he saw Lu Jie walking out of the kitchen with porridge and side dishes. Lu Jie replied with a simple and honest smile. "Lin Yuan, good morning." Lin Yuan quickly walked down the stairs. "Brother Lu, I'll help you." At this time, Wen Yu walked in from outside and said, "Young master, your express delivery has arrived." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan placed a plate of freshly cut fruits on the table and hurried toward the door. Tomorrow, the fish tank made of jade-textured red sandalwood would be delivered by the Class 4 spirit craftsman, Hu Quan. He still had a lot of arrangements to prepare for this completely jade-textured red sandalwood fish tank. He had spent a lot of effort to purchase these new fays from the Star Web, and he had spent 10 days collecting them at a high price. As a creation master, Lin Yuan had produced a large number of silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish, but he had never felt how rare these high-demand fays were. However, the large batch of fays that he had purchased this time made him deeply understand how precious rare fays were. These fays were all low-grade fays that had not been enhanced by creation masters, and they had already cost Lin Yuan a lot of radiance dollars. The package that Lin Yuan had signed for was stored in 2 gold face storage boxes. After signing, he stored the 2 gold face storage boxes in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Afterward, he went to the dining room to have breakfast with Lu Jie and Wenyu. Wenyu came out of the kitchen, raised the mint meat pie in her hand and said, "Young master, I don't know what Brother Lu added to the peppermint meat pancake this morning, but it smells much better than usual," Lu Jie said with a simple and honest smile as he held a pot of freshly boiled milk. The meat used in the peppermint meat patty is the meat of a gold pig species fei, so it smells especially fragrant. During the meal they chatted as usual. However, he could vaguely sense that Lu Jie was much quieter than usual this morning, as if he had something on his mind. Lin Yuan went straight to the point. "Brother Lu, is there something on your mind?" When Lu Jie heard Lin Yuan's question, the decision he had made last night suddenly became firm. "Young master, I've been staying in the Imperial City recently, but I feel that my progress is a little slow, so I want to go out and train for a period of time. Is that okay?" Lin Yuan raised his brows. He had thought it was something important, but it turned out to be just this. "Brother Lu, although we're in a relationship between a creation master and a retainer knight, I've never thought of controlling your life. You're still in charge of your life. I always feel that our relationship is more like that of friends than that of a creation master and a retainer knight." When Lu Jie heard Lin Yuan's words, he felt indescribably touched. He smiled and raised the milk in his hand. "Cheers to friendship." The 3 cups collided and let out a crisp sound. Then the milk in the 3 cups was drunk. Lu Jie did not take the initiative to expose Lin Yuan's identity as black, as he knew that Lin Yuan would naturally say it when he wanted to. Seeing that Lu Jie had nothing on his mind, Lin Yuan did have something to ask Lu Jie. "Brother Lu, what are the conditions to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection?" Lu Jie was not surprised by Lin Yuan's question. In his opinion, given Lin Yuan's strength and age, it would be a pity if he did not compete for the Radiance 100 sequence. Therefore Lu Jie told Lin Yuan everything he knew in detail. The competition for the Radiance 100 sequence members is nothing more than a test of the young generation's character, strength, and talent. There are 3 ways to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. The first is the most basic method, which is to become a city's 100 in each of the Radiance Federation's 32 major cities. From there, you will be qualified for the Radiance 100 sequence selection. The second way is to have a great contribution to the Radiance Federation or have outstanding achievements. Only the younger generation under the age of 24 have the opportunity to apply to the Federation officials and obtain the qualifications for the Radiance 100 sequence selection. The third way is to obtain a recommendation letter from the Radiance Federation's top experts to obtain the qualifications to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. When Lin Yuan heard Lu Jie's words, he nodded in enlightenment. There was no doubt that the third way was much easier for Lin Yuan. As long as he had the recommendation letter from his teacher, the Moon Empress, he could participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. However, Lin Yuan still asked, "What kind of contribution or achievement do I have to be qualified to obtain the conditions for the Radiance 100 sequence selection?" Lu Jie replied, "The second method is actually the most difficult as compared to the first and third methods. For example, one has meritorious service in protecting the Radiance Federation, has received some Federation-wide awards, or has one's own exclusive achievements in the Star Tower. For example, the achievements of the Radiance Federation's young hero, Black, are probably in line with the conditions of the second method." His words made Lin Yuan's eyes light up. It seemed like he really fulfilled the second requirement to be selected into the Radiance 100 sequence. Putting aside his merits, just the fact that he was a Star Tower exclusive achievement was enough for him to meet the requirements. However, the Star Web's official news had arrived last night, and Black's virtual image on the Celestial Stairway achievement altar still needed nearly a month to be created. This included the design of Black's avatar, so it would take a little longer. From the looks of it, it would be the easiest for him to qualify for the Radiance 100 sequence by relying on the Star Tower's exclusive achievements. Moreover, Lu Jie had just mentioned Black, so Lin Yuan simply said, "That's right. Brother Lu, I am Black." Lin Yuan had not told Black about his identity before because Lu Jie and Wenyu had never mentioned it. Lin Yuan also felt that there was no need to take the initiative to say it. Now that Lu Jie had suddenly mentioned it, Lin Yuan naturally had nothing to hide. Anyway, Wenyu and Lu Jie were on the same side. There was no obvious change in Lu Jie's expression, and the same went for Wenyu. This was because Lu Jie had already been surprised when he found out last night. Since he already knew the truth, there was nothing to be surprised about when he heard it again. However, Lin Yuan did not hide his identity, which gave Lu Jie a very happy sense of trust. Wen Yu ate the peppermint meat patty like a hamster and did not feel anything at all, looking as if it was natural. In Wen Yu's opinion, Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple. This identity was probably more awe-inspiring than the Radiance 100 Sequence's chief sequence. The Moon Empress was not only a Class 5 creation master but also a pinnacle expert in the Radiance Federation. When she was young, she had been a Radiance envoy. Lin Yuan looked at the expressionless faces of Lu Jie and Wen Yu, which stunned him. Were they really not surprised at all? This surprised Lin Yuan a little. If Lin Yuan suddenly found out one day that Lu Jie was a crossdresser, he would definitely be super surprised. Lin Yuan took 2 bites of the peppermint meat patty and asked, "Big brother Lu, how strong do you think the members of the Radiance 100 Sequence are?" Baidu immediately read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 232. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Jie pondered for a moment before replying. "I can't be sure of every Radiance 100 Sequence member's level, but I can't trust the data published on Star Web. If I do, I will definitely screw up." Lin Yuan was a little surprised to hear that. "Brother Lu, what do you mean?" Lu Jie hurriedly explained. "All the phase used by the Radiance 100 Sequence members in the open tournaments, exhibition matches, and Celestial Stairway duels are the phase used when they were selected for the Radiance 100 Sequence selection. When every Radiance 100 Sequence member is nominated for the Radiance 100 Sequence, they will receive a large amount of resources from the Federation. Therefore, they should have shifted their main phase and used their comprehended willpower runes to nurture new fantasy breed phase. It's just that these people are all very sinister. Every year they would hold back their strength during the sequence rankings and not reveal their strength. That's because the goal of sequence members is to accumulate strength and charge to the top in one fell swoop, directly raising their ranking by a large level. Therefore, the ranking of the Radiance 100 Sequence members will either not change or it will be a huge change. Every year there will be people rushing up and people falling down. Take me as an example. I became a Radiance 100 Sequence member 4 years ago, but I still only used the Insect Queen's normal, elite and silver abilities during the second year of the sequence ranking. As for the gold skill Lightning Gathering Moth, even though I already had it back then, I hid it and never used it. There was nothing he could not say to Lin Yuan. Outsiders would not know about the Radiance 100 Sequence's internal secrets. Lin Yuan was a little stunned. It felt like his understanding of the Radiance 100 Sequence's strength had been in vain. If he hadn't asked Lu Jie and had taken the information he saw on Star Web seriously, he might have fallen into a fatal trap. This made Lin Yuan involuntarily recall a few months ago when he had been able to sense the world's spirit chi. Back then, he had watched the exhibition match between Sequence 18 White Devil and Sequence 47 Unknown Fire on Star Web. However, be it Sequence 18 White Devil or Sequence 47 Unknown Flame, the strength they displayed was not that amazing to Lin Yuan. It turned out that Sequence 18 White Devil and Sequence 47 Unknown Flame had hidden their strength and displayed the strength they had when they had just been selected into the Radiance 100 Sequence. Such news immediately gave Lin Yuan a sense of urgency. After eating, he returned to his room and entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan also had plans to go out to train in the near future, but he did not think of traveling with Lu Jie. Lin Yuan's strength was far inferior to Lu Jie's. If he went out to train with Lu Jie, he would not be able to achieve his goal of tempering himself in life and death situations. In his opinion, the spirit chi crystals condensed by Morbius spirit chi condensation were much easier than enhancing silver/fantasy breed phase. Therefore, he still focused on increasing his spirit chi professional rank. He opened the 2 gold phase storage boxes that had arrived in the morning. One of the gold phase storage boxes contained 99 spirit-containing hibiscuses, while the other contained 99 glow-winged butterflies. He had spent nearly 500 Radiance dollars to buy these spirit-containing hibiscuses from Star Web. They ranged from normal level 1 to elite level 5. Like the spirit siphon goldfish, these spirit-containing hibiscuses were phase that could breathe spirit chi. However, the spirit siphon goldfish's grade increased slowly, while the spirit-containing hibiscuses needed a large amount of spirit chi to grow. In an environment with low spirit chi content, they would wither in less than a day. The greater the spirit chi, the better the spirit-containing hibiscuses would grow, and the more and fuller hibiscuses would bloom. They could be considered a very delicate plant fae. The way the spirit-containing hibiscuses breathed spirit chi was very special. Each of the spirit-containing hibiscus's flowers was the size of a bowl, and the color of the flowers varied from dark pink to light purple. These flowers bloomed in the morning and withered in the evening, and the spirit chi released by the spirit-containing hibiscuses was contained in these fallen flowers. The fallen flowers of the spirit-containing hibiscuses were very suitable food for the spirit siphon goldfish and the dragon phoenix landscape carp. The other glow-winged butterflies and the spirit-containing hibiscuses were similar in degree and needed a large amount of spirit chi to survive. The glow-winged butterflies were only the size of a thumb, and their wings would change according to the color of the flowers they inhabited. The more spiritual power they absorbed, the more magnificent the color of their wings. Although these glow-winged butterflies could not be compared with the blue flash butterfly's beauty, the glow-winged butterfly's wings were a layer higher than the blue flash butterflies, and they were more dexterous when flying. At the same time, the glow-winged butterfly's abilities had the dust avoidance effect. When the glow-winged butterflies flew, they could expel all the dust and harmful particles in the air, making the air abnormally fresh. Lin Yuan immediately started and promoted these 99 spirit-containing hibiscuses and 99 glow-winged butterflies to bronze eye/flawless. Lin Yuan would need 1 to 2 hours to promote phase quality to bronze X/epic in the spirit lock spatial zone. However, it would only take less than 10 minutes to promote phase quality to bronze eye/flawless. After some work, these spirit-containing hibiscuses and glow-winged butterflies were all promoted to bronze eye/flawless. Subsequently, Lin Yuan picked out 99 5 fortune ranches of the best quality from the spirit pool. Since these 5 fortune ranches had not awakened their dragon species bloodline, their bodies were not big and were only the size of a palm. The quality of these 5 fortune ranches had already reached the level of Elite 9. There were even a few 5 fortune ranches that had advanced to the bronze grade. He also raised the grade of all the 5 fortune ranches to bronze eye/flawless. Lin Yuan exited the spirit lock spatial zone, and in a short while his phone rang. He picked up the phone and heard the voice of the Class 4 spirit craftsman Hu Quan coming from the other end. "Kid, I've already prepared the red sandalwood fish tank you ordered. Tell me when should I deliver it to you?" Looking at the sky, it was already dusk of the second day. There were even clouds of fire burning in the sky. It was a magnificent sight to behold. "Senior, if it's convenient, you can deliver it to me now." Lin Yuan had been busy for dozens of hours in order to match this upcoming red sandalwood fish tank. At the same time, by enhancing phase, he could also increase the spiritual power level in his body. In less than an hour, the Class 4 spirit craftsman Hu Quan arrived at the mansion where Lin Yuan was. Lin Yuan went out to welcome him and led him into the house. Hu Quan was dumbfounded. "Fuck, what kind of noble immortal's nest is this?" After a long while, the middle-aged man who was a Class 4 spirit craftsman finally came back to his senses. He sized up Lin Yuan and could not help but think, "Damn it, what is this youth's identity? It's simply too awesome to live in such an environment all day long." When Hu Quan placed the red sandalwood fish tank in the position that Lin Yuan had requested and used it as a view wall, it was Lin Yuan's turn to be surprised. The completely jade-textured red sandalwood was a supreme treasure. Now that it had been sculpted by Hu Quan, it was no longer ordinary. Read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 233. According to Lin Yuan's request, the top of the red sandalwood fish tank was made into a huge flower bed design. The flower bed was carved with the Longevity Sutra and all kinds of mountain and river scenes. Every stone and wood was carved vividly. In the tank, a dark-colored, completely jade-textured red sandalwood was carved into a strange pine. The pine stem was like a horned dragon, the pine branches had pride, and the pine leaves had spirit. There were also pine cones on the top of the pine, which meant happiness, longevity, and peace. 8 cities were carved at the bottom of the tank, and there were cold water carvings on the pond. These 8 cities arched the strange pine as if they were holding up a mountain peak. Lin Yuan read softly. Cold water descends upon the 8 cities, and the divine tree lifts the peak of the unaging pine. This scene coincided with the saying of longevity and happened to match the Longevity Sutra carved on the completely jade-textured red sandalwood. Only when longevity was combined could it be considered endless and endless. At that moment, when you came over with a pipe and connected the ground of the mansion to the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. This place had been built recently and was connected to the artificial lake in the mansion. Soon, when you mobilized the water pressure and pressed the water in the artificial lake into the 9-meter long, 3-meter wide, and 4-meter high red sandalwood longevity fish tank. Even though Wenyu was used to seeing good things in the Radiance Palace, she could not help but be a little dazed when she saw this fish tank. It was not because of how rare the materials of this fish tank were but because of its design. Lin Yuan said to Hu Quan, a Class 4 spirit craftsman at the side. "Senior, help me." Hu Quan looked at the red sandalwood longevity fish tank with some reluctance. When he thought that he would never see it again in a while, he felt his heart ache. Upon hearing Lin Yuan say that he would help, Hu Quan was naturally willing. He wanted to see what this youth in front of him wanted to raise in such a good fish tank. Even if Hu Quan was experienced and knowledgeable, he really did not think that there was any fei that could be raised in a fish tank that was worthy of such a fish tank. "Senior, can you help me open the flower bed at the top of the fish tank first?" As a Class 4 spirit craftsman, the objects he created generally contained ingenuity. Therefore, if Lin Yuan wanted to figure out how to dismantle it himself, it would really take a long time. At this time, Wenyu had already brought a ladder over. Hu Quan took the ladder and climbed up the 4-meter-high fish tank in a few steps. With a few crackling sounds, the flower bed at the top of the fish tank was lifted by Hu Quan. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan waved his hand, and the 3 bronze/epic dragon phoenix landscape carps and 99 bronze eye/flawless 5 fortune ranches, which he had placed in the leaf-shaped diamond fei storage box, entered the fish tank carved from completely jade-textured red sandalwood. As Hu Quan was holding the flower stand, he really saw what Lin Yuan had put into the fish tank. He heard a lot of splashing sounds. Before Hu Quan could take a look, the red sandalwood fish tank, which was completely carved from jade-textured red sandalwood, suddenly lit up. It was as if purple clouds were rising from the east. Hu Quan was shocked. The completely jade-textured red sandalwood could only have such an effect under the influence of a large amount of spirit qi. Hu Quan became more and more curious about what exactly was in this fish tank. When Hu Quan replaced the flower stand on the top of the fish tank and came down from the ladder, he glanced at the fish tank. If Lin Yuan had not helped him quickly, the ladder would have fallen to the ground with Hu Quan's action. Hu Quan was a Class 4 spirit craftsman and a king-class expert, but he was not good at fighting. Even with his king-class strength, he could not help but gasp in amazement at the scene in front of him. These gasps were not entirely due to surprise but more due to the beauty of the scene in front of him. At that moment, 3 bronze/epic dragon phoenix landscape carps were swimming in the red sandalwood longevity fish tank like dragons and phoenixes. The 99 bronze eye/flawless 5 fortune ranches released majestic spirit qi, which significantly increased the spirit qi in the entire house. The 5 fortune ranches had 5 colors, red, white, yellow, green and black, on their bodies. Among them red was the most, while black was the least. They swam together like a huge embroidered ball. The 3 dragon phoenix landscape carps swam around the embroidered ball formed by the 5 fortune ranches like a dragon and phoenix playing with a pearl. It was an auspicious scene. As a spirit craftsman, Hu Quan was one of the small wave of people who constantly pursued art. Upon seeing such a scene, Hu Quan felt his heart surge as he said to Lin Yuan, "That's right." He said to Lin Yuan, "Your design with these feis is simply amazing. High-grade auspicious feis with low-grade auspicious feis with purple qi longevity patterns is truly a kind of great elegant music." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan scratched his head and said, "Senior, it's not over yet." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan scratched his head and said, "Senior, it's not over yet." After saying that, Lin Yuan took out the 2 gold fei storage boxes again. However, unlike before, the spirit-containing hibiscuses and glow-winged butterflies in these 2 fei storage boxes had now become bronze eye/flawless. Lin Yuan and Wenyu planted these bronze eye/flawless spirit-containing hibiscuses on the flower stand at the top of the fish tank. It was already dusk, and the flowers of the spirit-containing hibiscuses were the most beautiful at this time. However, the flowers had already withered. In another hour, these spirit-containing hibiscuses containing spirit qi would fall into the fish tank through the gaps of the flower stand and become food for the dragon phoenix landscape carps and 5 fortune ranches. These 99 bronze eye 5 fortune ranches just happened to meet the growth conditions of the spirit-containing hibiscuses. The 2 complemented each other and formed a good cycle. Under such a concentration of spirit qi, each bronze eye/flawless spirit-containing hibiscuses could bloom dozens of bowl-sized flowers. With so many purple flowers clustered together, it was as if they were carrying the rising purple aura to form a sky. Look at the morning and dusk in the small window with a smile. Don't plant immortal peaches, they turn red once in 1,000 years. This was referring to the hibiscus-type phase. The spirit-containing hibiscuses bloomed and fell in the morning, symbolizing the cycle of time. Each time they withered, they bloomed more brilliantly at dawn. As the sun continued to set and rise, it was like spring passing and autumn coming. The 4 seasons rotated but grew and multiplied endlessly. Therefore, the meaning of the spirit-containing hibiscuses in this red sandalwood fish tank was sky. This was the scene in Lin Yuan's heart. Dragons and phoenixes play with pearls and rise with purple aura, and the heavens bestow blessings of grace. Hu Quan could not help but clap his hands and exclaim jokingly, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. If I hadn't broadened my horizons today, I would have thought that this red sandalwood fish tank was going to be ruined. If you can come up with any new tricks, I'm going to close my shop. As long as you can afford it, I'm willing to work in your manner." Lin Yuan's eyes lit up when he heard Hu Quan's words. His mansion had just been built, and many places needed to be carefully carved. If he could have a Class 4 spirit craftsman, he would not need to spend any effort on the construction of his mansion. Lin Yuan asked, "Senior, are you serious?" Hu Quan was stunned when he heard Lin Yuan's question and then burst out laughing. "Of course I'm serious. Go to the Spirit Craftsman Association and ask if I, Hu Quan, am the most trustworthy." Lin Yuan could not help but think of the 90% negative review rate of Hu Quan's store on Star Web. However, Lin Yuan did not say anything and opened another gold face storage box. 99 bronze eye/flawless glow-winged butterflies, which were still white, flew out of the gold face storage box. They went straight to the flowers of the spirit-containing hibiscuses that were blooming. In a short while, the colors of these glow-winged butterflies were dyed light purple with the change of environment. Among the rising purple aura of the flowers, it was as if they were dancing in the glow and playing in the sky. Even the burning clouds in the sky were far less gorgeous than the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. Dragon and phoenix, hydrangea, divine wood, cold water, hibiscuses, glow-winged butterflies, purple aura, auspicious aura, blessings and longevity. 9 kinds of elegant music plus the 9-meter-long red sandalwood longevity fish tank, the spirit-containing hibiscus, and the glow-winged butterflies, symbolized the heavenly Tao's imperfection. However, it was precisely because of this imperfection that there were endless variables and more perfect. The bronze eye/flawless glow-winged butterflies flew in a circle in the house as if they were blooming hibiscuses that were blown into the air by the wind. The air in the house immediately became fresh because of the glow-winged butterflies' dust-repellent characteristics, and the originally clean house became even more spotless. The expression on Hu Quan's face was now completely wonderful. Hu Quan had just said it on a whim, but he did not expect that his casual words would put him in a difficult position. However, looking at the wonder in front of him, Hu Quan suddenly felt as if a new world had opened in his head. Perhaps it was not bad to change life. Wasn't this extreme beauty in front of him what he had always pursued? At that moment, before Lin Yuan had time to carefully appreciate the results in front of him, he suddenly heard the mother of Bloodbath's strange but pleasant voice in his ears. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath's strange and pleasant voice was full of oppression and pain. "Lin Yuan, quickly take me out of the city. The farther away from the royal capital, the better." Lin Yuan's expression changed and he ran out the door without another word. Hu Quan was shocked and said, "There's no need to close the door. I didn't say I won't stay in your mansion." Before Hu Quan could finish speaking, Lin Yuan, who had already run to the door, shouted, "When you entertain Senior Hu Quan first. I don't know when I'll be back. If you have something to do, you can leave on your own." The moment Lin Yuan stepped out of the mansion, the mother of Bloodbath immediately jumped into his hand. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath's body had become the size of a basketball. Obviously, for some reason, the mother of Bloodbath could not even maintain its camouflage. A majestic blood aura rose from the mother of Bloodbath's ferocious and magnificent body that looked like it was carved out of red crystals. It was as if it could erupt at any time. The mother of Bloodbath's body trembled slightly. It was obviously in extreme pain at this moment. Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House, for free immediately. Chapter 234. As a creation master, Lin Yuan could feel the mother of Bloodbath's current physical condition. The mother of Bloodbath was obviously unable to suppress the blood energy that was about to surge out of its body. Lin Yuan was using True Data to check the mother of Bloodbath's current situation. With True Data, Lin Yuan finally determined the mother of Bloodbath's current problem. It turned out that the mother of Bloodbath was about to promote from Myth I to Myth II. The promotion of the mother of Bloodbath's quality was originally a good thing, but Lin Yuan's brows were furrowed even tighter, looking abnormally anxious. This was because the Fae had reached suzerain, and the willpower rune had transformed into a law rune, transforming from a fantasy breed Fae into a myth breed Fae. Each time a myth breed Fae's quality improved, it would receive a world cleansing. When a suzerain/fantasy V Fae broke through the fantasy breed limit and transformed into a myth breed, its quality would reach myth I. The world cleansing was to transform the willpower rune in its body that it had comprehended into a law rune. Such a heaven and earth cleansing was already extremely difficult for Faes to endure, and it was extremely difficult for them to survive. However, when a suzerain/myth breed Fae advanced from myth I to myth II, this second world cleansing was the most difficult hurdle in a Fae's life. If a myth I wanted to reach myth II, it was a process of the Fae's genetic model sublimation and complete transformation. After transforming from myth I to myth II, the Fae could condense a human body and switch back and forth between beast and human forms. Therefore, this world cleansing was a process of completely destroying and remodeling its body to achieve sublimation and transformation. A slight mistake would cause it to perish under the world cleansing. Lin Yuan had fully understood the secrets of suzerain/myth breed Fae's promotion and transformation during the question and answer session with the Moon Empress. However, the Mother of Bloodbath's current situation was much stranger than what the Moon Empress had said about a suzerain/myth breed Fae evolving from myth I to myth II. Ordinary suzerain/myth breed Faes had to accumulate energy on their own to advance from myth I to myth II. When the energy was accumulated to a certain extent, it would use the law rune in its body to trigger this energy to communicate with heaven and earth, causing heaven and earth to descend the world cleansing. However, the Mother of Bloodbath was clearly in a passive state. It was not the law rune in its body that triggered such a huge amount of blood energy. Lin Yuan asked anxiously. Mother of Bloodbath, what should I do? The Mother of Bloodbath's strange but pleasant voice was exceptionally hoarse at this moment as it forced out a sentence intermittently. I can only hold on for another 40 minutes. In these 40 minutes, take me to the wilderness as far away from the capital as possible. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan dashed out of the mansion. At the same time, Lin Yuan used his cell phone to book a Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow that cost 800,000 Federation dollars for a single flight. The Diamond Rank Divine Travel Black Swallow's flying speed was more than 10 times faster than the Platinum Rank Divine Travel Black Swallow. He estimated the time it would take for the Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow to arrive here and ran toward the royal capital's south. 300 kilometers to the south of the royal city was the Endless Forest. The Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow could fly for 40 minutes, which was enough time to fly to the depths of the Endless Forest and let the Mother of Bloodbath receive the world cleansing there. Lin Yuan looked at the Mother of Bloodbath's painful appearance in his hand and did not know what to say to comfort it. He did not dare to rashly help, afraid that his pure spirit chi would cause negative effects to the Mother of Bloodbath. After running wildly for 3 minutes, Lin Yuan happened to see the Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow that had just landed. He took the Mother of Bloodbath and jumped onto the Divine Travel Black Swallow's back. The Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow immediately flapped its wings and flew toward the destination that Lin Yuan had just placed an order on his cell phone. When Lin Yuan got on the Divine Travel Black Swallow's back, he immediately panted heavily. The 3 minutes of intense running just now had almost exhausted all of Lin Yuan's physical strength, causing him to feel a burning pain in his chest when he breathed. The Mother of Bloodbath's situation was getting worse, and the blood energy around its body had turned from bright red to dark red. It was like a burning blood energy flame, causing the clouds in the sky to be scattered into mist. When the Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow sensed the energy in the Mother of Bloodbath's body, it immediately cried out in fear and looked a little flustered. However, under Lin Yuan's comfort, the Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow flew faster toward the depths of the Endless Forest due to fear. At that moment, Lin Yuan was constantly feeling the changes in the Mother of Bloodbath's blood energy. He suddenly felt that there was an extremely weak but abnormally fresh blood energy in the Mother of Bloodbath's blood energy. Lin Yuan was shocked. Could it be that the Mother of Bloodbath was still injured? It was very difficult for a suzerain/myth I Fae to survive the world cleansing of myth II at its peak. However, with the Mother of Bloodbath in such a sorry state and with its body injured, could it really survive the world cleansing of myth II? During this period of time, Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath had been together, and he had imperceptibly regarded the Mother of Bloodbath as a senior that silently protected him. Therefore Lin Yuan's heart had been hanging by a thread. The Diamond Divine Travel Black Swallow's speed was extremely fast. In less than 30 minutes, it had already traveled nearly 500 kilometers deep into the Endless Forest. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan's hand suddenly leaped toward the sky and let out a shrill cry. From the mother of Bloodbath's basketball-sized body in midair, Lin Yuan could see what seemed to be broken red crystal-like objects separating from the mother of Bloodbath's body. When these broken red crystal-like objects fell into the endless forest, they immediately caused the plants near the red crystals to grow wildly. A 30-meter-tall tree had already grown to 100 meters away in the blink of an eye. Lin Yuan's heart suddenly tightened. These red crystal-like objects were none other than the mother of Bloodbath's high-purity blood. An extremely shrill cry resounded in midair, and the mother of Bloodbath's basketball-sized body instantly became as big as a mountain. 8 slender spider legs were abnormally sharp, and blood-red stinging hairs covered the dark red spider's body that was as big as a mountain. Its gem-like compound eyes flickered with scarlet light. Suddenly, the scarlet light in the compound eyes flourished and immediately dispersed the clouds in the sky, leaving the originally cloudy sky spotless. The mother of Bloodbath turned its head to look at Lin Yuan and said in a hoarse voice, "Lin Yuan, ride the divine travel Black Swallow and leave this place for 50 kilometers. Lin Yuan, ride the divine travel Black Swallow and leave 50 kilometers from here. Come back after the world cleansing is over. If you succeed, we can go back together. If not, what remains of my body will be yours." When the mother of Bloodbath said this, its tone was very calm, with a trace of nostalgia but no sadness. The life of a wild fae was originally nurtured by nature. They had to experience countless dangers and competitions since they were young. Every suzerain/myth breed fae had stepped on countless fae corpses to reach this peak. From the moment it set foot on this path, the mother of Bloodbath had already been aware that such a day would come sooner or later. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 235. The mother of Bloodbath knew very well that it would either transform into a more powerful creature under the baptism of heaven and earth. Otherwise, he would leave behind a broken body under the baptism of heaven and earth. From then on, everything in the world would be separated from this body. In the mother of Bloodbath's opinion, if not for the Moon Empress's help back then, it would have become a pile of white bones when it advanced from suzerain/fantasy V to myth breed. How would it have the qualifications to ascend to myth? The heart of a fae clearly distinguished between gratitude and hatred. To the mother of Bloodbath, the only person it was grateful to in this world was the Moon Empress. Therefore, the mother of Bloodbath had not hesitated to become the Moon Empress disciple and Lin Yuan's path protector. The mother of Bloodbath's thoughts were very simple. If it died, its body would be of some use. This was also the only repayment he could give to the Moon Empress. With that said, the majestic blood energy on the mother of Bloodbath's body soared into the sky, blasting a dark hole in the blue sky. A captivating red law rune flew up from the mother of Bloodbath's back armor and bloomed with majesty as if it could fight against the heavens. This kind of majesty revealed a kind of indescribable truth. It was as if it was supposed to be a part of the core of this world. This was the power of the rules. This was because the law rune itself was a law recognized by the heavens and earth. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath withdrew all of its consciousness back into the depths of its mind. He gathered all the strength in his body and prepared to resist the baptism of heaven and earth. The mother of Bloodbath did not realize that Lin Yuan had no intention of leaving this place. The diamond divine travel Black Swallow had already fled in fear the moment the mother of Bloodbath summoned the law rune. The ground beneath Lin Yuan's feet had turned into yellow sand. The soil in the endless forest was very soft, but the minerals in the inner layer were very hard, very suitable for producing high-quality yellow sand. At this moment, the source sand was relying on its instincts to quickly create sand. Lin Yuan was currently communicating with Morbius in his mind. "Morbius, what's the probability of the mother of Bloodbath surviving this world cleansing?" Morbius' voice echoed in the depths of his mind. "It's 0. After Morbius revived, the true data skill was strengthened. In addition to being able to see through the essence of an object, it could also analyze it based on its essence. Therefore, when Morbius said that the success rate was 0, the mother of Bloodbath was destined to die today. As Lin Yuan's contracted fae, Morbius could directly sense Lin Yuan's intentions. After sensing Lin Yuan's current thoughts, Morbius said, "Don't worry. You are my contractor and I am your fae, so you don't have to consider so much. Just do what you want to do." After Morbius said that, Chimy's voice echoed in Lin Yuan's mind. There was also Red Thorn's faint intimacy and dependence. It was as though the world existed wherever Lin Yuan was. Lin Yuan turned genius tool transformation into a pair of glasses and wore them on the bridge of his nose. Then he let Chimey and Red Thorn coordinate with the yellow sand created by the source sand to form a fortress. Lin Yuan let the spirit gather goldfish release the spirit injection on him. The jasmine lily was also suspended in the line of defense formed by the yellow sand, ready to heal at any moment. The spirit chi imprint on Lin Yuan's body was also flickering with blue radiance, as though this layer of imprint could be opened at any time. However, the mother of bloodbath was still unaware of Lin Yuan's existence and was hibernating there. It was mobilizing a huge amount of energy in its body and preparing to endure the world tribulation's baptism. Lin Yuan looked at the mother of bloodbath and smiled. The Path Protector's duty was to protect himself. However, when the Path Protector was in danger, his shoulders might not be broad, but he could still fight for a chance of survival with the world. Lin Yuan knew that the world tribulation was very dangerous, but he was not a fool. Lin Yuan was not considered close to the mother of bloodbath. At the same time, as long as the mother of bloodbath did not fail its metamorphosis, it would bear all the energy of the world tribulation. As for the aftermath that spread out, although it would injure Lin Yuan, it was not unstoppable. At that moment, Lin Yuan was going to use all his strength. Although he might not be able to help the mother of bloodbath overcome the crisis and pull its life back from the gates of hell, at least there was an additional chance of survival. However, at least there was an additional chance of survival. This chance of survival would allow him to have a clear conscience and not regret it. The sky showed its most tyrannical side at that moment. The pitch-black hole shrouded everything within a few miles in a layer of thick ink-like black clouds. Thunder snakes swam in the ink-black clouds and it began to rain heavily. These raindrops hit the fortress formed by the source sand and penetrated the layer of ferromanganese on the surface of the source sand, splashing out a half-inch deep sandpit. After withstanding this wave of rain, the fortress formed by the source sand's yellow sand became thinner. However, the rainwater mixed with the yellow sand made the fortress sturdier. If the rain under the world tribulation was already like this, then what about the thunder and lightning in the ink-black clouds? Lin Yuan's contracted source sand had already created a large amount of yellow sand. A large amount of yellow sand formed a thick layer of yellow sand buffer around the mother of bloodbath's body. The yellow sand buffer had precipitated ferromanganese in it. The ferromanganese could conduct a portion of the world tribulation's lightning damage to the mother of bloodbath into the depths of the ground. Lin Yuan's actions immediately alarmed the mother of bloodbath. The mother of bloodbath's thoughts were all concentrated in the depths of its mind. However, the current abnormality made the mother of bloodbath immediately split a trace of its mind to check. With this check, the mother of bloodbath's mind immediately woke up. The mother of bloodbath saw a youth in a fortress formed by yellow sand, seriously helping to arrange the yellow sand buffer around it. His eyes were so serious and firm. The mother of bloodbath's spider eyes rippled with a layer of crystal. The mother of bloodbath had lived for so many years, but it was shocked by this youth's eyes. The mother of bloodbath's will to live was already extremely weak, as no one in this world would understand its current physical state better than the mother of bloodbath itself. However, at this moment, the mother of bloodbath strangely wanted to live. This will to survive made the law runes in the mother of bloodbath brighter. In the mother of bloodbath's opinion, Lin Yuan's actions were no different from a mantis trying to stop a chariot. In fact, at the moment of his death, without his resistance, the overflowing heaven and earth energy could turn Lin Yuan into powder. A mantis trying to stop a chariot might be useless, but the camaraderie moved the mother of bloodbath. Before the mother of bloodbath could say a word, the thunder under the world tribulation struck down. It struck the mother of bloodbath's blood-red law rune, causing the law rune to tremble. The mother of bloodbath leaped up and kept the blood-red law rune back into its body. The mother of bloodbath's body lit up with a red crystal-like luster as it welcomed the thunder and lightning that constantly fell from the world tribulation. Read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 236. Layers of fine lightning accompanied the thunderclaps that seemed to be able to blast a hole in the sky and landed on the mother of bloodbath's body. The thunderclaps split the mother of bloodbath's body into a cloud of blood mist. Blood-red law runes could be faintly seen circulating in the blood mist. However, the mother of bloodbath was unable to transform into a human form. The bright red blood mist gradually weakened under the thunderclaps. Suddenly, the mother of bloodbath's voice rang in Lin Yuan's ears. "Lin Yuan, I can't hold on anymore. Run with all your strength." Lin Yuan pursed his lips and did not speak. At that moment, Lin Yuan unlocked the spirit chi imprint that he had accumulated for several months. The spiritual power in the spirit chi imprint was already very different from before. The spirit chi in the spirit chi imprint was constantly gathering by the bronze/epic dragon species bloodline spirit gather goldfish day and night. The amount of spirit chi in it had formed a sizable spirit chi torrent. The spirit chi torrent entered Lin Yuan's body and fluttered his white robe. Lin Yuan looked at the mother of bloodbath's constantly weakening blood-red mist and shouted, "Pure land of bliss." White sand suddenly appeared in the yellow sand under the mother of bloodbath's feet. These white sand grains were filled with the smell of new life and purity. The white sand grains in the pure land of bliss glowed. These glowing lights unhurriedly melted into the mother of bloodbath's blood-red mist, which was constantly weakening under the thunderclaps and lightning. The mother of bloodbath, which had been struck into a blood mist, was anxious to use its last bit of energy to send Lin Yuan away. However, the moment the white sand's glowing light rushed into its body, the mother of bloodbath could clearly feel that its damaged and fragmented roots were constantly recovering. Damage to one's life source and serious injuries were two different things. Injuries could be healed, but the damage to one's roots could no longer be repaired. However, at that moment, the mother of bloodbath felt that its damaged roots were constantly recovering. The spirit chi torrent in Lin Yuan's spirit chi imprint was all transmitted into this pure land of bliss. Otherwise, given Morbius' current strength, the pure land of bliss effect would definitely not be able to heal a suzerain/myth I Fei like the mother of bloodbath and was close to myth 2. In fact, the pure land of bliss that he was using now could not completely restore the mother of bloodbath. However, there was a chance for the mother of bloodbath to break free from the world cleansing and transform into a human form. It could freely switch between human and beast forms and advance to myth 2. The pure land of bliss continuously healed the damaged roots in its body, allowing the mother of bloodbath to seize this opportunity. He fused the origin energy within his red mist into the law rune and continuously tempered the law rune. Finally, the red mist suddenly burst forth with a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. A blood-red pillar of light filled with pressure rose up and directly struck the black hole in the sky, shattering it. Immediately afterward, a beam of soft light fell from the place where the black hole disappeared and shone on the mother of bloodbath's blood-red mist, allowing the mother of bloodbath's damaged life source to quickly recover. He had heard his master, the Moon Empress, talk about this gentle light that had suddenly descended from the sky. This was the world grace that Fays could obtain after experiencing the world cleansing. The moment this beam of world grace appeared, it meant that the mother of bloodbath had successfully advanced to myth 2. The red mist dissipated, and Lin Yuan saw a very bewitching but exceptionally beautiful woman appear in midair. She had red hair, red eyes, and even her eyelashes were red. Her red leather armor made her look very heroic. When Lin Yuan saw that the mother of bloodbath had transformed into a human form and successfully transcended the tribulation, he revealed a relieved smile. The spiritual power in Lin Yuan's body had actually been completely depleted a few minutes ago. He was only barely maintaining the pure land of bliss by relying on the spirit gather goldfish, Blackie, to continuously use spirit injection to recover his spiritual power. With a wave of his hand, Lin Yuan recalled all his phase back into his spiritual spatial zone. Then he forced himself to squat in the yellow sand with a dusty face, looking a little wretched. Lin Yuan's body was stained with a lot of yellow sand, and even his hair was mixed with some yellow sand and rainwater, making him not look as handsome as usual. However, it seemed that in the mother of bloodbath's eyes, Lin Yuan still had that resolute look in his eyes. He was the youth who had saved its life from the hands of the world. The youth who had stood calmly in the wind and rain amidst the thunderous roar of 1,000 troops. The mother of bloodbath looked at the somewhat wretched Lin Yuan and suddenly felt that becoming this youth's path protector might have been the best decision it had made in the past 1,000 years. It was not only because Lin Yuan had helped it successfully survive the world cleansing, but also because of his friendship. The mother of bloodbath used to be most grateful to the Moon Empress, but for the rest of its life, Lin Yuan's name would be engraved in its life along with the Moon Empress's. The mother of bloodbath stepped on the void and walked to Lin Yuan's side, revealing a bright smile. Lin Yuan, thank you. When Lin Yuan heard the mother of bloodbath's strange and pleasant voice ringing in his ears, his heart was completely at ease. He smiled brightly, revealing a row of small white teeth. Mother of bloodbath, you've successfully reached myth 2. That's great. After saying that, Lin Yuan's consciousness relaxed and he fainted. The overdraft of spiritual power would make it difficult for a person to even maintain standing. Lin Yuan's continuous overdraft of the spiritual power in his body had long reached the limit that his body could bear, and he was hanging on by a breath of essence, qi, and spirit. The mother of Bloodbath looked at the fainted Lin Yuan and reached out to pick him up from the yellow sand. Looking at Lin Yuan, who had fainted but looked relieved, a drop of cold tear from the mother of Bloodbath's red eyes fell on Lin Yuan's stray hair. The mother of Bloodbath's bewitching and pleasant voice sounded faintly between heaven and earth. I, the mother of Bloodbath, formed a path protector contract with Lin Yuan that day and became his path protector. Now that the path I protect has reached a level that I am satisfied with, I will use my life to protect the path in front of me. I swear by the law rune that if I violate the oath, the mother of Bloodbath looked at the yellow soil under its feet and spat out 4 words. Become the yellow soil. When Lin Yuan woke up, he found himself lying in his room and he touched his head. The long-term overdraft of spiritual power made Lin Yuan's head a little swollen and painful. He got off the ground, greeted Wen Yu and Lu Jie who were guarding his door, and quickly walked downstairs to the long corridor in front of his mansion. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath's strange and pleasant voice rang in Lin Yuan's ears again, just as usual. Lin Yuan was relieved and no longer disturbed the mother of Bloodbath's perception of the changes in its body. Instead, he rubbed his stomach and walked into the house. Lin Yuan's greatest feeling at that moment was hunger. Lu Jie's nutritious porridge had been simmering in the clay pot, waiting for Lin Yuan to wake up. Now that Lin Yuan was eating the hot nutritious porridge, he suddenly felt a sense of peace. Lu Jie and Wen Yu were relieved when they saw that Lin Yuan was fine. Lin Yuan had been unconscious for an entire day, which had made them worry for the whole day. As Lin Yuan drank the porridge, he suddenly thought of someone and said to Wen Yu, Senior Hu Quan went back yesterday, right? Wen Yu, Senior Hu Quan went back yesterday, right? Young Master, Senior Hu Quan didn't leave yesterday. Young Master, Senior Hu Quan didn't leave yesterday. When Young Master came back, he saw that Young Master was unconscious, so he waited for Young Master for half a day. When Young Master still didn't wake up, he went back and said that he would visit Young Master tomorrow. Lin Yuan did not expect that Hu Quan would actually take his joke at that time seriously. However, it was definitely good news for Lin Yuan if Hu Quan, a Class 4 spirit craftsman, was willing to stay and work in the mansion. At that moment, Morbius' voice suddenly sounded in Lin Yuan's mind. Lin Yuan, after the mother of Bloodbath reached Myth 2, a trace of the world grace fell on the pure land of bliss. When you have time, enter the spirit lock spatial zone to take a look. After drinking Lu Jie's nutritious porridge, Lin Yuan returned to his room and immediately entered the spirit lock spatial zone. After entering the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan was surprised to discover that there were actually 20 spirit chi crystals in the small bowl that Morbius had condensed with spirit chi. Lin Yuan almost choked on his saliva. This situation was simply like a pie falling from the sky. After catching the pie, he found that it was made of gold. With these 20 spirit chi crystals, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that he could raise any of his fantasy breed phase or source-type lifeforms to gold. Lin Yuan pondered. Should he let the jasmine lily, chimey, or the source sand evolve into a gold/fantasy breed first? Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 237. Lin Yuan carefully looked at the 20 spirit chi crystals in the small limestone bowl in the spirit lock spatial zone. They were half the size of a thumb, and he could not help but admire them. These spirit chi crystals, which were half the size of a thumb, appeared to have a very crystal clear texture. There seemed to be an indistinct gas flowing inside, and when light shone on it, it would emit an indistinct rainbow color. If one did not look carefully, these 20 spirit chi crystals really looked like some irregular broken glass crystals. However, the value of the spirit chi crystals could not be compared to those irregular broken glass crystals. Lin Yuan looked at these 20 spirit chi crystals and smacked his lips. These 20 spirit chi crystals had not been formed when the mother of Bloodbath had reached Myth 2, and that wisp of world grace had landed on Morbius' pure land of bliss. Instead, they had been formed according to Morbius' spirit chi condensation, which would take at least 140 days. The premise of these 140 days was that there was a sufficient supply of energy ores. These spirit chi crystals were enough for Lin Yuan to upgrade any of his 3 fantasy breed phase to gold eye/fantasy eye. After using these 20 spirit chi crystals, Lin Yuan's strength would immediately undergo a qualitative change. However, he still needed to carefully consider which of the jasmine lily, chimey, or the source sand should be upgraded to gold/fantasy breed first. No matter which one he upgraded, it was destined to become Lin Yuan's trump card. Even Lin Yuan's combat style had to be tilted toward this gold/fantasy breed Fey or source type item to change. Especially after Lin Yuan knew that the Radiance 100 sequence's strength was not as simple as it appeared, he felt a sense of urgency. Since Lin Yuan had decided to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year, he naturally would not shrink back. Therefore, what Lin Yuan had to do was improve his strength as soon as possible. These 20 spirit chi crystals were enough for Lin Yuan to immediately obtain a trump card at this time. Lin Yuan thought that according to this situation, when he participated in the Radiance 100 sequence selection, it was very likely that he could upgrade the 2 fantasy breed Fays to gold. He could even upgrade the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee from Gold Eye by a lot. Gold Eye/fantasy breed Fays already had Platinum Combat Power. Platinum Combat Power was the most basic strength standard to enter the Radiance 100 sequence. After some choices, Lin Yuan gave up on the Bronze X/Fantasy Eye Jasmine Lily. Increasing the Jasmine Lily's grade would only enhance Lin Yuan's healing ability. Healing-type spirit chi professionals might be very rare and sought after, but the Jasmine Lily's evolution into a gold/fantasy breed Fey would also greatly increase Lin Yuan's healing ability. However, this improvement in healing ability did not have any substantial help for him to participate in the Radiance 100's competition. Therefore he had to make a choice between Chimey and the Source Sand. After thinking for a moment, he gave up the idea of upgrading Chimey from Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye to Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye. Although Chimey was currently Lin Yuan's strongest power and could instantly kill a Platinum Fey after becoming a Gold/Fantasy breed and activating the Radiant Body, Chimey was not as powerful as a Platinum Fey. However, although such an ability had high lethality, the margin of error was extremely low. If Chimey could not settle the battle during the time it used the Radiant Body, then Lin Yuan was likely to face defeat. Moreover, the Gold Eye/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee had the same effect as Chimey to some extent. The Acid Corrosion Queen Bee and Chimey were both high-burst single-target damage units. After Chimey reached Gold and became a Gold/Fantasy breed Fey, it would indeed produce a Gold ability. However, this Gold ability was not something that Lin Yuan could decide. Chimey was still only Silver Eye, and its combat system had not been completely determined. Gold, Platinum, and even Diamond abilities were still unknown to Chimey. Therefore, to Chimey, the advancement obtained by advancing in grade was a very uncertain factor. Although Chimey would only become stronger and stronger, Lin Yuan felt that the all-around Source Sand was more suitable for improving his overall strength. No matter how strong Chimey became, it would only strengthen its offense. Although the Source Sand's increase in offense was not even half of Chimey's, it focused more on defense and control. After fighting the first promotion duel with Cheng Hongfeng, he knew the importance of increasing his ability to protect himself in battle. After the second Celestial Stairway promotion duel with Poison Beauty, Lin Fan's expression changed drastically. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, viewed self-protection as more important. He even felt that self-protection was the top priority for spirit chi professionals. If Poison Beauty had the ability to protect herself back then, she would have been able to survive Chimey's killing blow. In that case, it would be impossible for him to defeat Poison Beauty. Although the Source Sand was comprehensive, it was only a Bronze X/Fantasy Eye Source type lifeform. Although he had great potential, he was still too weak in terms of strength. However, what he needed to do now was to enhance the Source type Source Sand's grade. It allowed the Source Sand to advance from Bronze X/Fantasy Eye to Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye. Since he had made up his mind, he no longer hesitated. He picked up the small limestone bowl and turned the amber-colored crystal button-shaped Source Sand that had been hanging on his sleeve into a pile of yellow sand. Then he picked up a Spirit Chi crystal and threw it into the pile of yellow sand. The yellow sand immediately formed a high-speed yellow sand vortex with the Spirit Chi crystal as the center, quickly absorbing the energy in the Spirit Chi crystal. The Source Sand was the most special existence among all of Lin Yuan's contracted phase and Source-type lifeforms. No matter how high the Source Sand's grade increased, it would not have any additional abilities or exclusive skills. Therefore, Lin Yuan estimated that after the Source Sand reached Gold, it should enhance its existing exclusive skills. Soon, the huge energy in the Spirit Chi crystal was absorbed by the Bronze X/Fantasy Eye Source Sand. The Source Sand's grade had also increased from Bronze X/Fantasy Eye to Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye. The Source Sand, which had once again turned into an amber-colored button, did not have any obvious changes compared to its previous appearance. Instead, it became more reserved and less noticeable. At that moment, after Lin Yuan's source type source sand upgraded from bronze X/fantasy I to silver I/fantasy I, he immediately sensed that the reserved amber button-shaped source sand was trembling slightly. Moreover, it cautiously and intimately transmitted an extremely vague spiritual request to him. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 238. Everything had a spirit, and it was the same for the elemental source-type source sand. However, the silver/fantasy source sand's intelligence was so weak that it was like a baby that had yet to be born. When Lin Yuan sensed the source sand's spiritual request, he could not help but nod. It was exactly as he had guessed. After the source sand's grade increased, it would indeed increase the exclusive skills that it possessed. The source sand's spiritual request was asking him which exclusive skill he wanted to enhance. The source sand's 3 exclusive skills were sand control, metal consume manifestation, and gravel spirit acceptance. Sand control was an exclusive skill that the source sand had automatically comprehended when it reached bronze, and it could not be enhanced again. Therefore, it could only enhance metal consume manifestation and gravel spirit acceptance. Gravel spirit acceptance and metal consume manifestation were exclusive skills that the source sand had comprehended from the 2 willpower runes when it had metamorphosed into a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan sensed the enhancement methods of metal consume manifestation and gravel spirit acceptance and pondered. If he chose to enhance metal consume manifestation, he could choose to devour one more type of metal spiritual ingredient or change into one more form. If he enhanced gravel spirit acceptance, he could devour one more type of fey or dimensional life form. This way, the source sand's exclusive skill, gravel spirit acceptance, could devour 2 types of phase or dimensional life forms instead of one. Be it metal consume manifestation or gravel spirit acceptance, the source sand's carrying capacity was determined by its grade. After enhancing, there was no improvement at all. What was added was just a variety of changes. However, Lin Yuan was secretly alarmed. This additional change was equivalent to raising the source sand's strength by a notch from its original foundation. However, Lin Yuan did not make a choice immediately. Instead, he continued to let the source sand, which had reached silver I/fantasy I, turn into yellow sand again. He continuously threw the spirit chi crystals in his hands into the yellow sand that the source sand had turned into, allowing the source sand to absorb them. After spending a total of 9 pills, the source sand's level rose from silver I/fantasy I to silver X/fantasy I. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and continued to throw the spirit chi crystals one by one into the yellow sand until he was done with the remaining 10 crystals. The pile of yellow sand on the ground suddenly began to boil, and the yellow sand began to emit an amber luster. Wisps of yellow sand rose into the air and finally converged into an amber crystal button. Upon seeing the gold/fantasy source sand, Lin Yuan could not help but clench his fists. This was because after the source sand reached gold I/fantasy I, his strength was no longer stuck at the T2 level of the younger generation like before. He had truly reached the T1 level of the younger generation, which was the strength of the Radiance 100 sequence. At this level of strength, he had to hone his combat skills even more. This was because a battle between experts was often a fierce one. Victory or defeat was decided by a single move or timing. If you are one step ahead, you will win. If you are one step behind, you will lose. At this moment, the gold/fantasy source sand's appearance had changed again from the silver/fantasy source sand. At gold, the source sand might still be as simple and unadorned as it was at silver, but there was an additional mark on its amber button-like appearance. When Lin Yuan took a closer look at the mark, he couldn't help but smile. This was because this mark was a combination of the chain sword and the heart-penetrating iron line. The dissected patterns on this mark were a little like ferromanganese patterns. It was as though a silk thread wrapped around a chain sword and was sealed in a small amber button, giving off an indescribable warm texture. Lin Yuan calmed down and gave instructions to the source sand, which was clearly a little clearer than before. When the source sand had just evolved from silver to gold, Lin Yuan had already chosen the enhancement direction for the source sand's exclusive skill. If he enhanced the gravel spirit acceptance, it would simply increase the diversity of the source sand's spirit acceptance life forms and enhance its group ability. If Lin Yuan only had this source type life form and no other phase, he would not hesitate to enhance the gravel spirit acceptance. However, he had Red Thorn, which had a complete advantage in terms of group. In addition, the source sand had a certain attack ability in the group aspect. Compared to letting the gravel spirit acceptance accept 2 kinds of phase, Lin Yuan was willing to accept only one kind of dimensional life form, the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan rummaged in his leaf-shaped face storage box and found that there were still nearly 300 heart-penetrating iron line in it. Most of these 300 heart-penetrating iron line were at gold. However, there were also a dozen of them that had increased their strength from Class 3 alien insects to Class 4 alien insects, which was equivalent to a platinum Fey. Lin Yuan let the gold eye/fantasy eye source sand spit out the gravel spirit acceptance's heart-penetrating iron line. Then Lin Yuan tried to let the source sand use the gravel spirit acceptance on a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum eye/elite Fey. As a gold/fantasy breed source-type life form, the source sand easily devoured the heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum eye/elite Fey. Obviously, this platinum eye/elite heart-penetrating iron line was far from the source sand's gravel spirit acceptance limit. After some experiments, the gold/fantasy breed source sand's gravel spirit acceptance finally gave the heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey. This heart-penetrating iron line, which was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey, had reached the limit that the source sand's exclusive skill, gravel spirit acceptance, could withstand. When the source sand was at bronze X/fantasy eye, it could accept a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold Fey. Therefore, Lin Yuan was not surprised that the source sand could accept a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey when it was at gold eye/fantasy eye. The heart-penetrating iron line hidden in the source sand's exclusive skill was Lin Yuan's hidden trump card. It could give the enemy a fatal blow when they least expected it. After dealing with the gravel spirit acceptance, which Lin Yuan did not choose to upgrade for the source sand, he chose to enhance the source sand's second exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation. Lin Yuan promoted the source sand to silver and gold for two opportunities to upgrade its exclusive skills. One was to increase the metal consume manifestation's transformation form, and the other was to increase the type of metal that the metal consume manifestation could contain. In other words, the gold eye/fantasy eye source sand's metal consume manifestation could now devour two types of metal. It could also remember the two types of metal that could be transformed. Baiduan read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 239. Previously, Lin Yuan had chosen the source sand's metal consume manifestation as the first form of the chain sword. This was because the chain sword was a form that excelled in both offense and defense. However, this time Lin Yuan had chosen to enhance his self-defense ability. There were only two ways to enhance his self-defense ability. One was to enhance his resistance, while the other was to enhance his speed and dodging ability. Whether it was resistance or dodging ability, it was a very good choice to enhance his defense ability. However, Lin Yuan was already a mature person, so he wanted all of them. Previously, the source sand had only been a bronze X/fantasy eye source type life form. Therefore, Lin Yuan had chosen ferromanganese, which was very sturdy and sharp, and its metal characteristics could be used with the chain sword to damage targets. Now that the source sand's strength had reached the standard of a gold/fantasy breed, Lin Yuan still did not intend to change his choice of ferromanganese. The lower the grade of the metal, the more the source sand could devour. Therefore, Lin Yuan intended to let the source sand devour a large amount of ferromanganese when choosing one of the two metals. As for the choice of another metal, he planned to choose a gold metal. The price of all metals in this world was determined by weight. However, there was one exception, and it was the day and night spirit silver. The day and night spirit silver had almost no weight, so its price was often dependent on its volume. The day and night spirit silver's original appearance was a kind of extremely black metal. The day and night spirit silver's extreme black color was so black that it seemed as though it could absorb all the light around it. However, after the day and night spirit silver conducted spirit chi, it would turn into an extreme white color. This white color was like suet jade. Although it would not emit light, it would give people the illusion that the day and night spirit silver could emit light after being connected with spirit chi. This was also how the day and night spirit silver got its name. The black day and night spirit silver only had one metal characteristic, sharpness. As a gold metal, a thin piece of the day and night spirit silver could even cut other gold metals. This did not rely on the strength of the slash, but on the day and night spirit silver's own sharpness. However, when the day and night spirit silver was infused with spirit chi and turned white, it would become very elastic. The heavy strike landed on the day and night spirit silver, which was infused with spirit chi. The day and night spirit silver was able to quickly transmit the attack into the surrounding air. The white day and night spirit silver only had one special property, and that was shock absorption. Due to the day and night spirit silver's shock absorbing and buffering properties, the day and night spirit silver became a metal with extremely powerful defensive properties. He planned to let his source-type source sand devour the day and night spirit silver for it to devour. After exiting the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan logged into the star web as a creation master. Lin Yuan went straight to the star web's rare lifeform pavilion to inquire about the ferromanganese and day and night spirit silver. In the end, he found quite a lot of information on ferromanganese, but there was only one piece of information on the day and night spirit silver in the rare lifeform pavilion. 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver were put up for auction in the rare lifeform pavilion, and the price had been raised to 20 million radiance dollars. He did not feel that the day and night spirit silver's price was too high. On the contrary, 20 million radiance dollars were not enough to buy 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver. In fact, Lin Yuan did not need so much day and night spirit silver. He only needed 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, and he planned to let the source sand devour more ferromanganese. The day and night spirit silver was simply too rare, and Lin Yuan did not have any connections. He did not wish to trouble his master, the Moon Empress, for everything. Therefore, Lin Yuan sent a private message to the seller of the day and night spirit silver in the rare lifeform pavilion. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Boss, I would like to buy 1 cubic meter of the day and night spirit silver that you put up in the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion. I can offer 5 million radiance dollars. After sending the message, Lin Yuan continued to buy ferromanganese wantonly in the rare lifeform pavilion. There was no shortage of ferromanganese in the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion, but many sellers were selling it at 5,000 caddies per stack. It was a huge burden for those who did not have a large demand for ferromanganese. However, this was exactly what Lin Yuan wanted. After buying wantonly, Lin Yuan bought close to 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese. Lin Yuan could not guarantee how much ferromanganese the gold eye/fantasy eye source sand could devour, but after the source sand devoured 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, it would definitely have enough for 100,000 caddies of bronze ferromanganese. After buying the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan realized that the seller he had just sent a private message to replied. Moneymaker, 5 million radiance dollars is too low. I'm not selling, nose-picking emoji. Lin Yuan looked at the seller's message and frowned. Even if this 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver was sold at the end of the auction 10 days later, it would not exceed 48 million radiance dollars. Therefore, Lin Yuan was already showing full sincerity by offering 5 million radiance dollars to buy 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. Moreover, the other party's attitude and nose-picking emoji made Lin Yuan feel that the other party was not sincere in the transaction. However, Lin Yuan still sent the message patiently. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. 5 million radiance dollars for 1 cubic meter of gold day and night spirit silver. What do you think, boss? Moneymaker. Give me 6 million radiance dollars and I'll consider selling it to you. Lin Yuan looked at Moneymaker's message and closed the chat window. Although Lin Yuan was not short of money now, he did not want to waste it casually like an idiot. If Lin Yuan really wanted to get the day and night spirit silver, it was not like he could not get it. Why should he let the other party cheat him with such an attitude? Lin Yuan returned to his Fei store and posted a request for items in the store. In fact, rather than saying that Lin Yuan posted a request for items, it was better to say that it was an exchange message. Lin Yuan's message was, use a specified bronze/epic Fei to exchange for 1 cubic meter of the spiritual ingredient day and night spirit silver and 2 source-type items. After Lin Yuan posted the message, he did not immediately go offline. Instead, he went to the rare lifeform pavilion to buy some spiritual ingredients that were not available in Zhou Jessen's store and that he needed. As a result, Lin Yuan had just started to rummage through the rare lifeform pavilion when his Star Web account as a creation master exploded. Lin Yuan opened it to take a look and countless messages poured in. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 240. Lin Yuan clicked on the automatic filtering function of Star Web's messages and filtered and sorted the buyers who wanted to buy from him. Star Web filtered messages based on the content of the message. In other words, the messages sent by these buyers contained the verification of 2 source-type lifeforms and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. Lin Yuan found that among the messages that Star Web was helping him to filter, There was actually a seller who wanted to buy the day and night spirit silver, lucky and prosperous. Lin Yuan clicked on the message and saw that Lucky and Prosperous had sent 2 relatively unorthodox source-type lifeforms and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, as well as a message that made Lin Yuan raise his brows. Lucky and Prosperous, boss, I was busy just now so I was slow when I sent the message. Also, this young master is my catchphrase. Don't mind it. Lin Yuan was not a fool, so he could naturally understand the meaning of other people's words. If this young master was really a catchphrase, why would Lucky and Prosperous waste the effort to explain now? Lin Yuan replied. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, give me 2 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver and 3 source-type lifeforms, and I'll sell them to you. Then Lin Yuan closed Lucky and Prosperous' message. Instead, he chose among these people who had sent source-type lifeforms and chose a buyer who had sent 2 source-type lifeforms that was not too unorthodox. These source-type lifeforms could not be used by Lin Yuan, and they were also of no use to the people around him. However, source-type lifeforms were wealth that would never depreciate. Therefore, storing some source-type lifeforms was equivalent to enriching his material reserves. In the end, Lin Yuan finalized a deal with a buyer named Listen. Listen had chosen a bronze/epic power offense-type canine Fey in the transaction. It was not considered a skill to be able to easily take out the day and night spirit silver. However, it was a great skill to be able to take out 2 source-type lifeforms at will. Such a person was either a king stage or above, or a core member of a rich and powerful family. However, the messages sent by these people were all very polite and even had a sense of flattery. The buyer, Listen, who had just reached a deal with Lin Yuan, tried every possible way to ask for Lin Yuan's friend position. There was no risk of being cheated when trading on Star Web. Since a deal had been reached and an order had been signed, if either party broke the contract, they would have to bear a large sum of liquidated damages. At the same time, if the other party violated the terms of the transaction, Star Web would contact the relevant departments to pursue the matter. If the circumstances were serious, not only would they be severely punished in reality, but they would also be disqualified from logging into Star Web. Therefore, Listen, who had just completed the transaction with Lin Yuan, mailed the 1 cubic meter of gold day and night spirit silver and the 2 source-type items to him first. All this behavior is like a licking dog. Listen's behavior was nothing more than to gain Lin Yuan's favorable impression so that there might be a chance to trade again. As Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store sent out this news, Lin Yuan's store's reputation completely resounded on Star Web. Previously, his purchase with no loss store had relied on selling high-demand Fays like the bronze Usnias and the elite spirit gather goldfish to garner a lot of attention. However, this level of attention only involved low-ranked spirit chi professionals. Even after his purchase with no loss store sold silver Usnias, its reputation and popularity had exploded. However, he wasn't particularly famous on Star Web. This was because Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had always been unable to enter the eyes of experts. But now, as soon as Lin Yuan sent out the news of the exchange, it immediately attracted the attention of countless experts. If there was anything in this world that was hard to come by for spirit chi professionals, it would definitely be a high-quality bronze Fey. Lin Yuan's exchange news did not give a specific epic Fey for exchange. Instead, the buyer could choose any type of epic Fey. Such heroism was enough to show the power behind the purchase with no loss store, which was still a 1-star web store. Among them, the most shocked was Zhou Jiesun. After Zhou Jiesun heard this news, she was lost for a long time. She had always thought that Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had the support of a Class 3 Creation Master. But now, it seemed that there was at least a Class 4 Creation Master behind it, and it might even be a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master. Lin Yuan logged off Star Web and received a large batch of bronze ferromanganese that he had purchased on Star Web in less than 2 hours. He also received 1 cubic meter of the day and night spirit silver and 2 source-type items that Listen had mailed in advance after the transaction. Lin Yuan did not carefully examine these 2 source-type items. He just stored them in his leaf-shaped diamond Fey storage box as resources. Then he took the 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese in 5 silver Fey storage boxes and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver in 1 gold Fey storage box and entered the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan fed this cubic meter of day and night spirit silver to the gold eye/fantasy eye source sand. He let the source sand devour the day and night spirit silver. After devouring the day and night spirit silver, the source sand's characteristics did not seem to change as much as when it had devoured the ferromanganese. However, in essence, the gravel formed by the source sand had become lighter and stronger. Although such a change did not seem obvious, it was undoubtedly a very significant improvement for the entire sea of sand. Such an improvement directly increased the flexibility of the gravel in the sea of sand, allowing it to move faster in battle. After the source sand devoured this cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, Lin Yuan started to feed it a large amount of ferromanganese with its exclusive skill metal consume manifestation. The source sand only stopped after eating 170,000 caddies of the 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese. At this point, the Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye source sand's metal consume spirit acceptance exclusive skill had reached its limit. How many chainswords could be formed from such a huge amount of ferromanganese? How many changes would the chainswords combination have? Previously, the chainswords combination could form a cage and lock the target in it. Now, the chainswords combination would have more variety of changes according to Lin Yuan's combat style. What Lin Yuan had done just now was to let the source sand reach saturation with its exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation. However, Lin Yuan's next priority was to let the source sand transform the day and night spirit silver into a shape. After Lin Yuan transmitted the shape in his mind to the source sand. Soon, the source sand spawned a piece of light and exquisite jet black feather composed entirely of day and night spirit silver. Then, thousands of feathers that were the same as this feather were spawned in the source sand. Then they assembled on Lin Yuan's back. Lin Yuan controlled the source sand's two pairs of wings, which were so black that they seemed to be able to absorb light, and gently flapped them. As they flapped, hundreds of jet black feathers formed from day and night spirit silver fell from the four wings. Then they cycled back to the four black wings. At that moment, in the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan seemed to have turned into a dark angel with four wings that could absorb light. Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 241. Lin Yuan looked at his current state and involuntarily took a deep breath. Then Lin Yuan controlled the day and night spirit silver to form the four wings, which were made of thousands of feathers, and flapped them vigorously. As the four wings flapped, Lin Yuan's feet left the ground and floated into the air. While floating in the air, Lin Yuan tried to swing out the black feathers that formed his wings. The feather formed by the day and night spirit silver did not have much weight, but it was abnormally tough. It was like a black lightning bolt that could devour light. It shot toward the target that Lin Yuan had set in his heart. When the black day and night spirit silver landed on the source sand's yellow sand, it immediately disappeared without a trace and fused into the yellow sand. Then, the feather that had fused into the yellow sand would come out again, forming a perfect cycle. After Lin Yuan tested the attack speed of the day and night spirit silver's feathers, he took out a piece of tough ferromanganese from the gold phase storage box. Lin Yuan threw the ferromanganese into the distance with force. Following that, 5 black feathers transformed into lightning bolts and directly pierced through the ferromanganese, leaving 5 inconspicuous cracks on the ferromanganese. Lin Yuan nodded silently. The day and night spirit silver's black feathers might not be able to easily break through a platinum phase defense. However, a gold defense type Fey would definitely not be able to withstand the damage caused by the day and night spirit silver's black feathers. The source sand's second exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, actually did not consume much spiritual power in Lin Yuan's body. At the same time, the source sand's first exclusive skill, sand control, reduced the already minimal spiritual power consumption once again. This meant that if Lin Yuan did not inject spirit chi into the 4 black wings formed by the day and night spirit silver to resist the damage, the source sand's metal consume manifestation would not consume much spiritual power. The 4 black wings formed by the source sand's metal consume manifestation would not consume much spiritual power for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan chose to let the day and night spirit silver transform into the shape of feathers to form the 4 wings. On one hand, he wanted to increase his defense. On the other hand, due to the day and night spirit silver's extremely light metal characteristics, the airflow created by the flapping of the wings was enough for Lin Yuan to fly. As a spirit chi professional, only S-rank spirit chi professionals could stand in the void and walk in the sky. Although Lin Yuan was still a C-rank spirit chi professional, he already had the ability to fly. Flying would allow him to be more agile in battle, and he could even fly in the air to avoid damage from the ground. To a certain extent, this kind of sensitivity was actually more effective than enhancing one's defense. He then tried to inject spiritual power into the 4 black wings formed by the day and night spirit silver. The moment Lin Yuan injected his spiritual power, the black wings instantly turned white as though they were emitting a sparkling white light. If the 4 jet black wings from before were said to be mysterious and dark, Now, after the 4 wings turned white, the 2 pairs of white wings carried an indescribable brightness and firmness. This contradictory feeling caused Lin Yuan's entire temperament to undergo 2 extreme changes. Under Lin Yuan's command, the 4 pure white wings suddenly extended and folded forward, completely protecting him and forming the strongest defense. Since Lin Yuan's 4 wings were originally formed by the Day and Night Spirit Silver's feathers, the metal characteristics instantly changed. Especially when Lin Yuan injected spiritual power into the Day and Night Spirit Silver's wings, the moment the Day and Night Spirit Silver came into contact with spiritual power, the metal characteristics instantly changed. After the Day and Night Spirit Silver came into contact with spiritual power, the Day and Night Spirit Silver's texture softened, allowing the 4 white wings to become extremely malleable. The 4 wings stretched out and overlapped, forming a cross that protected Lin Yuan within. This was Lin Yuan's strongest defense at present. However, the wings that Lin Yuan had transformed into were not perfect yet. This was because the current wings and feathers were only rough models. If Lin Yuan wanted to enhance the strength of the 4 wings formed by the feathers, he would need to carve patterns on each feather to have a certain shock-absorbing effect. At the same time, the edges of the feathers had to become sharper. This required the source sand to sleep for a period of time. Just like last time, it would deepen its memory of the metal consume manifestation's exclusive skill according to Lin Yuan's request. Lin Yuan looked at the source sand's exclusive skill and felt that obtaining this amber button-shaped source-type life form had been the right decision. Fey name: Source Sand Amber Button. Fey species: Elemental/Sand. Fey grade: Gold Eye. Fey type: Source. Fey quality: Fantasy Eye. Exclusive skill: Frowny Face Sand Control. Increases the contractor's control over the source sand and reduces the consumption of spiritual power when controlling the source sand. Metal consume manifestation: Can devour 2 types of metal into the source sand, allowing it to have a portion of the metal devouring characteristics. At the same time, it can quickly condense the metal in the gravel and turn it into a specified form. Ferromanganese Chain Sword. Day and Night Spirit Silver Feather. Gravel Spirit Acceptance. The source sand can devour a Fey or dimensional life form. The amount of devouring depends on the life form's energy and the complexity of the template. Class 4 Alien Insect. Heart-penetrating iron line. Its strength is equivalent to a Platinum 3/Flawless Fey. Although the source-type lifeform source sand did not have any abilities, under Lin Yuan's nurturing, the source sand's combat ability was already not inferior to other phase or source-type lifeforms. It was even stronger. After Lin Yuan exited the spirit lock spatial zone, he stretched. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan no longer needed to enhance his phase grade. He still had some things to do, and after he was done he could go out to train. He could only return on the eve of the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan was able to complete the enhancement of the source sand's exclusive skill so quickly after becoming a gold/fantasy breed thanks to the buyer named Listen on Star Web. Although Lin Yuan and Listen had a deal. Under normal circumstances, Listen did not need to send this cubic meter of gold Day and Night Spirit Silver and 2 source-type lifeforms to Lin Yuan first. Lin Yuan also remembered this favor in his heart. Lin Yuan logged into his Star Web account and was about to ask if there were any specific breed requirements for the power offense type Canine Fey that Listen needed. Anyway, Lin Yuan could enhance any kind of bronze/epic Fey in the Spirit Lock spatial zone for just over an hour. Since Listen had made things convenient for him, Lin Yuan thought that he might as well make things convenient for him. Listen wanted to exchange for a bronze/epic Fey, so it should be because he or someone around him had comprehended a willpower rune. Therefore, Lin Yuan was giving Listen a chance to let his willpower rune fit with a bronze/epic Fey. The bronze/epic Fey that Listen had specified was a power offense type Canine Fey. Canine Feys were a huge category. Dogs, wolves, jackals and foxes were all Canine Feys. If Lin Yuan casually chose a power offense type Canine Fey for Listen, the range of choices would be too wide. However, just as Lin Yuan was about to send a message to Listen, he found that Listen had actually left 2 messages for him after he logged off Star Web. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 242. Lin Yuan raised his brows when he saw the 2 messages from Listen. Listen, Master, if you have another bronze/epic Fey in the future, can you give me a chance to trade first? I won't let you suffer a loss. Listen, Master, I've mailed 1 square meter of Day and Night Spirit Silver to your previous address. Hehe. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that Listen did not have to be so attentive to him. Or were all creation masters treated like this? This was the first time in Lin Yuan's life that he had received a bribe. However, this 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver was not so much a bribe as a fawning. Lin Yuan sent a message to Listen. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, there are a total of 13 genera and 36 species of power offense-type canine phase, including dogs, wolves, jackals, foxes and so on. The range is very large. After Lin Yuan sent a message to Listen, he saw that Listen was currently on Star Web, so he waited for his reply. In less than 3 seconds after Lin Yuan sent the message, Listen replied. Listen, wow expert. Are you trying to let me choose a dog species Fey by myself by sending this message? Deep Mountain Elder Lin, yes. Lin Yuan had made it convenient for Listen because Listen had made it convenient for him. This had nothing to do with the 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver that Listen had sent. However, Lin Yuan would not refuse this 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. The price of 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver was at most 5 million radiance dollars. However, if the value of this opportunity that Lin Yuan had given Listen was calculated, it was equivalent to priceless. After Lin Yuan sent this yes, he watched as Listen sent dozens of storm praises. This made Lin Yuan wonder if this buyer called Listen had just secretly drunk 1 kilogram of honey. In the end, Listen chose a very unorthodox fox Fey that focused on spiritual attacks. This kind of fox Fey that focused on spiritual attacks was not considered rare. However, this kind of fox Fey that focused on spiritual attacks had a variety of evolutionary directions. This kind of fox Fey that focused on spiritual attacks evolved into bronze, and it was really not certain which direction it would evolve in. However, no matter how this fox Fey that focused on spiritual attacks evolved, it would always be able to meet Listen's requirements. At the same time, Lin Yuan could not help but feel that if he had not given Listen a convenience, it was almost impossible for Listen to want to find such an unorthodox bronze/epic Fey to match the Fey's willpower rune. After Listen finalized his choice of Fey, Lin Yuan bought an elite illusory fox from the rare lifeform pavilion. The illusion fox was already an elite Fey when it was still a cub, and there was no normal Fey. After obtaining the elite phantom fox, he enhanced it in the spirit lock spatial zone. When this illusory fox evolved to bronze/epic, its name was changed to Pain Illusory Fox under True Data. The illusory fox's ability was to control the 5 senses, while the Pain Illusory Fox's ability was an evolution of the illusory fox after leveling up. The Pain Illusory Fox cast a skill on the target, causing the target to enter a state of pain. Depending on the skill, this kind of pain would affect the body and mind. It was an extremely powerful attack. When this bronze/epic Pain Illusory Fox had been promoted to bronze, Lin Yuan had chosen the mind vulnerability from the 3 exclusive skills that had been produced. The exclusive skill, Spirit Vulnerability, allowed the Pain Illusory Fox to inflict more pain on the target's spirit when it released its abilities. It was an exclusive skill that could greatly enhance the Pain Illusory Fox's attack ability. The Mind Vulnerability was also the best choice among the 3 exclusive skills that this Pain Illusory Fox had obtained at bronze. Lin Yuan had always maintained his original intention in doing business, so he had enhanced the Illusory Fox to Elite/Epic before promoting it to Bronze. It had been promoted from Elite to Epic, which gave the Illusory Fox more choices in terms of exclusive skills. Although no one knew about Lin Yuan's hard work, he had at least lived up to his conscience and had a clear conscience. Since Lin Yuan had already posted in his purchase with no loss Fey store that he could trade with a Bronze/Epic Fey of his choice, he did not intend to let his store keep a low profile. Since he wanted to pursue a high profile, he would carry it out to the end. Lin Yuan simply mailed the Bronze/Epic Pain Illusory Fox to Listen. After Listen received the goods, Star Web confirmed that Lin Yuan could trade with any Bronze/Epic Fey. After Listen received the goods, the news that Lin Yuan had posted in the purchase with no loss store could trade with any species of Bronze/Epic Feys was confirmed by Star Web. Previously, many experts had not been able to get the opportunity to trade with Lin Yuan, so they had been in a wait-and-see state. Now that they saw that Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had reached a deal so quickly, they could not help but be secretly shocked at its power. These experts and members of the wealthy families hurriedly paid attention to Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store. If it had been a group of ordinary merchants waiting for silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish, then Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store now had a large number of members of the wealthy families and king-class experts and above. Now there were a large number of members of wealthy families and king-class and above experts squatting in the purchase with no loss store. Many people even started to inquire about Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store. However, no matter how they inquired, they could only find out that the owner was a young man. As for other information, the moment Lin Yuan became the Moon Empress disciple, the Moon Empress had blocked it and no one could check it. Lin Yuan did not expect that after Listen received the bronze/epic pain illusory fox that he had enhanced, he would actually mail him another source-type item. Although this source-type item was still very unorthodox, it showed Listen's attitude. To some extent, this source-type item showed Listen's attitude. Listen's behavior was suspected of currying favor. However, if he was not a truly thoughtful person, he would definitely not do such a thing. On a certain level, Listen's price for buying this bronze/epic pain illusory fox was higher than the Lightning Sparrow King's King-class expert squad's price for buying the bronze/epic flame vein dragonfly. The price Listen paid was equivalent to 2 cubic meters of the day and night spirit silver for the Lightning Sparrow King's King-class expert squad's price. These 2 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver were priced at 10 million radiance dollars. Lin Yuan already had a relatively deep impression of this buyer called Listen, who had a sweet mouth. If Lin Yuan needed other spiritual ingredients that he could not buy in the future, he might as well trade with Listen. Lin Yuan was about to sleep when he suddenly received a call from Zhang Xiaobai. Lin Yuan picked up the phone and heard Zhang Xiaobai's excited voice. "Lin Yuan, have you had such a dream?" Lin Yuan had long been used to Zhang Xiaobai's incoherent way of speaking. "What dream?" "In the dream I feel like I'm sleeping. In the dream I pinch myself hard and feel a lot of pain. Then I feel like I'm awake, so I get up to go to the toilet. In the end I feel like I've fallen into the river from a boat and then I really wake up." Lin Yuan almost choked on his own saliva. "Zhang Xiaobai called me in the middle of the night just to tell me this? How can a grown man like Zhang Xiaobai say such a thing?" At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai suddenly laugh out loud, making Lin Yuan confused. All of a sudden Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai cry out in pain and hurriedly beg for mercy. However, Zhang Xiaobai's cry of pain did not end. Lin Yuan could imagine how Xaning had used her swift footwork to use the grasp of immortality and fatal rhythm to carry out Dark Harvest on Zhang Xiaobai. Then Xaning picked up Zhang Xiaobai's call. "Lin Yuan, ignore him." Zhang Xiaobai just browsed the Star Web live streaming room for a while in the middle of the night, and he became like this. This is the 17th call he's made. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan felt as though a doomsday had jumped above his head. Lin Yuan chatted with Xaning for a while and was about to hang up the phone. At that moment, Xaning suddenly asked, "Lin Yuan, have you really decided to use Black's identity to compete for a spot in the Radiance 100 sequence this year?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled, revealing his small white teeth, and said very firmly, "That's right. I'll go to the Star Web in a while and use the exclusive achievement I obtained from the Star Tower duel to register for this year's Radiance 100 sequence competition." Baidu read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 243. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan went downstairs. It was already late at night, but there was a cold rain in the royal capital. At this time, with this cold rain, the weather in the royal capital immediately became a bit colder. The royal capital's climate did not have much rain, and it did not rain a few times a year. It was not like the Redbud City Xia region, where it rained all year round and the sun could not be seen for a few days. Lin Yuan looked at the curtain of rain and could not help but sing softly. In the drizzling curtain of rain outside the window, drifting a song lures me to listen. The reflection of the flute soared on the water surface, it's a poem of love hiding hatred. However, when Lin Yuan was singing, he did not notice that Chimey, which had been flying around his shoulder, suddenly stopped flying around. Instead, it carefully listened to the song that he sang with a very serious look, as if it was memorizing and learning something. Lin Yuan looked at the curtain of rain outside the window and could not help but think that perhaps it would not be rain next time. It would be the first snow of this year's winter. Once the snow fell, the Radiance Federation's most lively annual season would begin in less than a month. The Guild Alliance's tournament would start at the beginning of January and last until nearly April. Once the Guild Alliance's tournament ended, it would be time for Lin Yuan to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition. When Lin Yuan left the room, he saw Lu Jie and Wenyu studying the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. The bronze eye/flawless spirit containing hibiscuses were growing on top of the fish tank. At that moment, 99 bronze eye/flawless glow-winged butterflies were landing on the spirit containing hibiscuses. There was also a hydrangea formed by 99 bronze I/flawless 5 fortune ranchu goldfish. They were swimming around 3 bronze X/epic dragon phoenix landscape carps that resembled dragons and phoenixes. What a fairy-like scene. Previously, the mansion still needed to light up at night, but now there was a large amount of spirit chi released by these 5 fortune ranches. This red sandalwood longevity fish tank was constantly emitting a purple brilliance like a purple cloud. In addition, the furniture, which was completely composed of jade-textured wood, was also emitting a sparkling light in this rich spirit chi environment. Under the large amount of spirit chi, the light emitted by these completely jade-textured wood gave people an exceptionally tranquil feeling. It was as if his fatigue was quickly soothed under this warm halo. Wen Yu said excitedly as soon as Lin Yuan came down. Young master, the combination of these fays and the fish tank carved from completely jade-textured red sandalwood is comparable to the famous works of those Class 5 spirit craftsmen. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled slightly. Landscaping was nothing more than restoring the scene in one's mind to reality. Everyone's landscaping was usually the most beautiful scene in their mind. No matter how exquisite the ornaments made by Class 5 spirit craftsmen were, in Lin Yuan's heart, they were ultimately inferior to the auspicious scene formed by the perfect combination of spiritual ingredients and fays. Lu Jie's eyebrows twitched as he listened to her words. Lu Jie was also a person who had seen the world, but he was still shocked by the red sandalwood longevity fish tank for a long time. On one hand, it was because the scenery was too beautiful, but more so because of the luxury of the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. The jade-textured red sandalwood was astonishing, but it paled in comparison to the matching fays. The more Lu Jie looked at these matching fays, the more he was shocked. Nearly 300 bronze/flawless fays, which were originally very expensive, were matched with 3 bronze/epic koi that were like dragons and the wind, which were superior auspicious. With just a glance, one could feel the strong strength foundation of such a combination. However, Lu Jie found that when you saw such a scenery, she was just marveling at its beauty. She was not surprised by the luxury of this scenery at all, which was enough to prove that Wen Yu had seen such things many times before. However, Lu Jie was just shocked and had no other thoughts. These discoveries increased the pressure in Lu Jie's heart and made his desire to become stronger. Lu Jie did not want to be a retainer knight who could not protect his master. Lu Jie rolled up his sleeves and walked toward the kitchen. Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, I've wrapped the small wontons. Just put them in the pot and cook them. Both of you sit at the table and wait for me for a while. Lu Jie was going out to train tomorrow morning, so tonight's supper would be the last reunion dinner for Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, and Lu Jie before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Soon after Lu Jie left, Lin Yuan also planned to set off for training in the next 2 days. After eating, Lin Yuan leaned on the chair and let out a breath of satisfaction. Lu Jie's bowl of small wontons was extremely light, but with a little spicy white pepper powder, it was indescribably pleasant to eat while it was hot on this rainy night. After eating this meal, Lin Yuan logged on to Star Web. He first logged on to Star Web as a creation master and put up the large batch of silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish in his spirit lock spatial zone in his purchase with no loss store. This large batch of silver usnias and spirit siphon goldfish had been put up by Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan had set up the smart robots in this store to be updated once every week or so. However, the number of updates this time was much larger. Lin Yuan glanced at his purchase with no loss store's fan club and found that a few newcomers had joined. Most of these newcomers had relied on their hand speed and luck to stand out among the many buyers waiting to snatch goods. However, one of the newcomers in Lin Yuan's Star Web Store's fan club surprised Lin Yuan a little. This person was Listen. Listen had obtained the opportunity to enter the fan club after completing his store's trade, which was different from other buyers waiting to snatch goods. Listen's method of entering the fan club was a bit similar to the method of the braised egg head. Counting the time, Lin Yuan and Listen had only completed the trade for slightly more than 3 hours. Therefore, Listen had only entered the fan club for slightly more than 3 hours at most. However, in these 3 hours, Listen had actually taken over the right to speak in his fan club. In the past, Lin Yuan's fan club's topics were focused on Zhou Jiasen and the braised egg head. But now that Listen had joined, in just a few hours, the 2 points of authority, the braised egg head and Zhou Jiasen, had completely gathered on Listen. This made Lin Yuan feel very strange. Listen's identity was different from most of the people in his store's fan club. Most of the others had come in to better wait for the silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish. Such a trade would be around tens of thousands of radiance dollars to hundreds of thousands of radiance dollars. However, Listen had obviously entered the fan club in the hope of getting another chance to trade for bronze/epic phase. Therefore, Listen's trade volume often reached tens of millions of Radiance dollars. Of course, Lin Yuan was not willing to trade for tens of millions of Radiance dollars, as the significance of source-type items was far greater than their corresponding value. Lin Yuan thought that after Listen entered, he would directly call himself a big shot and take over the right to speak. However, after Lin Yuan scrolled through it, he could not help but be greatly surprised. Listen did not have any special behavior after entering the fan club. Just by relying on the way he spoke, Listen easily gained the favor of the majority of the people in the fan club. This was a very terrifying ability. This ability did not come from talent or strength, but from an extremely high emotional intelligence. However, Lin Yuan did not pay too much attention to Listen. He changed his identity as Black and logged onto Star Web. This time, Lin Yuan did not go to the Rare Life Form Pavilion to buy phase and spiritual ingredients as usual, nor did he go to the Star Tower to climb the tower. Instead, he went directly to the very sacred official organization on the Star Tower, the Radiance Sacred Hall. The Radiance Sacred Hall was responsible for the Radiance 100 Sequences qualification verification, selection, and ranking of Radiance 100 Sequence members. Lin Yuan went to the Radiance Sacred Hall this time because he wanted to use Star Web's achievement to obtain a chance to compete in the Radiance 100 Sequence. Of course, not everyone was qualified to go to the Radiance Sacred Hall if they wanted to. If he wanted to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, he had to first go through an identity verification. Then Lin Yuan could obtain a chance to apply to the Star Web officials to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall. Of course, such an opportunity was limited to the Radiance Sacred Hall on Star Web. As for the Radiance Sacred Hall in reality, only true Radiance 100 Sequence members were qualified to set foot in it. Since Lin Yuan had previously reached the 100th floor from the first floor of the Star Tower with a 102-match winning streak, he had obtained a Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement after going through 2 Celestial Stairway promotion duels and entering the Celestial Stairway. Although the Celestial Stairway achievement altar did not yet have Black's virtual image, the Star Web officials had contacted Lin Yuan several times during this period. However, the Star Web officials had contacted Lin Yuan several times during this period, asking for his permission to design Black's virtual image. As early as when Lin Yuan received the Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement from Star Web, Black's Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement had already been certified by the Radiance Federation officials. However, before Black's virtual image appeared on the Celestial Stairway achievement altar, the Star Web officials would not publicly announce it. Therefore, the Star Web officials immediately gave Lin Yuan the qualification to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall. However, after Lin Yuan entered the Radiance Sacred Hall, would he be able to complete the Radiance Sacred Hall's verification and become a seeded contestant to participate in the Radiance 100 Sequence selection and compete for the qualification of only 10 Radiance 100 Sequences every year? It would depend on whether Lin Yuan could meet the Radiance 100 Sequence selection conditions and other aspects besides his strength. At the same time, the Radiance 100 Sequence would also investigate Lin Yuan's resume, which was actually a test of his character. Every member of the Radiance 100 Sequence was the backbone of the Radiance Federation and represented the Radiance Federation's younger generation. Therefore, the requirements for character were even stricter than other aspects. As soon as Lin Yuan arrived at the Radiance Sacred Hall on Star Web, he was immediately shocked by the Radiance Sacred Hall's grand atmosphere. He wanted to read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 244. The Radiance Sacred Hall occupied a very wide area, but there were only a handful of people who could apply on Star Web and obtain approval to come here. Furthermore, it was late at night in reality, so the huge Radiance Sacred Hall was very quiet. Lin Yuan found that he was the only one outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. Since he had obtained the qualifications to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, he could walk around freely in the Radiance Sacred Hall. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to immediately apply for the Radiance 100 Sequence competition qualification. Instead, he chose to walk around outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. While walking, he carefully looked at the simple and magnificent scene outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. There were rows of statues outside the Radiance Sacred Hall, and they were all Radiance 100 Sequence members of each generation. There were a total of 3 types of statues carved with the Radiance 100 Sequence members. The first type was a golden statue. Behind these golden statues was a huge stone slab that was also golden. The stone slab was densely written with the Radiance 100 Sequence members represented by these golden statues, as well as the great deeds and achievements they had made during their time in the Radiance 100 sequence. Only sequence members who had been in the Radiance 100 sequence for 10 years and had honorably retired at the end of their time were qualified to obtain such golden statues. The second type was a silver statue, which referred to the Radiance 100 sequence members who had been in office during their time. The third type was a bronze statue. These bronze statues represented the members who had been successfully selected for the Radiance 100 sequence but had been eliminated during their time in the Radiance 100 sequence. The golden, silver, and bronze statues stood quietly in rows. Lin Yuan knew that behind each statue was a true prodigy of the Radiance Federation. Whether it was the golden, silver, or even bronze statues, they represented those who had entered the Radiance 100 sequence but had been eliminated. They were the Radiance Federation's proudest backbone. After walking past these rows of statues, Lin Yuan saw a gallery that was 5 kilometers long. The walls of the gallery were ordinary bluestone slabs, which were carved with exquisite murals. Lin Yuan looked at them one by one. Every time he took a step forward in this gallery, he felt an inexplicable shock in his heart. This was because the murals in the gallery were all the major events that the Radiance Federation had experienced in the past 100 years since the Spirit Chi awakening. The Tenli Gallery was equivalent to a solemn chronicle. Behind this chronicle was the reason why humans could be called the wisest of all creatures. That was because humans possessed something that allowed them to transcend all other living beings. This thing was civilization. Lin Yuan did not know how long he had walked, but he had walked through the 5-kilometer gallery step by step. After looking at the 5-kilometer gallery, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that he had more interpretations of Hui Yao. Lin Yuan looked at the 7 words written on the blank space of the last drawing board and suddenly smiled silently. These 7 words were, "The future will be written by you." This might be the Radiance Federation's expectation for the younger generation. This expectation was the cornerstone for the Radiance Federation to constantly become better. He took firm steps and walked into the Radiance Sacred Hall's interior. His current state of mind had changed a little from when he had first entered the Radiance Sacred Hall. After entering the Radiance Sacred Hall, Lin Yuan found the staff and explained his intentions. Soon he was taken to an office in the Radiance Sacred Hall by the Radiance Sacred Hall staff. Lin Yuan pushed open the door and entered. He saw a middle-aged man holding a book about spiritual ingredients and reading it with great interest. Upon seeing Lin Yuan come in, the middle-aged man waved his hand and gestured for him to sit down. Then he said, "Black, when you obtained the qualifications to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, you were considered to have passed the Radiance 100 sequence selection in terms of strength. In terms of quality, there is no need to review the deeds of you guarding Millstone Town. However, data such as your age still needs to be reviewed. Just show me the information on your Star Web identity card." The middle-aged man looked at Lin Yuan with admiration and a trace of inquiry. He naturally admired Lin Yuan's strength to obtain the Celestial Stairway's exclusive title and his bravery in guarding Millstone Town during the Insect Tide invasion. He also inquired about Lin Yuan's identity. When the middle-aged man had let Lin Yuan come to the Radiance Sacred Hall, he had already started to check Black's Star Web identity card. The Star Web was extremely protective of one's privacy. However, this kind of privacy protection was not included in the Radiance 100 sequence qualification test. However, when the middle-aged man checked Black's identity card, he found that Black's identity card was still in a confidential state. In other words, even something as important as being selected for the Radiance 100 sequence test was not enough to obtain the qualification to check Black's identity information. The middle-aged man had seen such a situation before. This situation proved that one of the Radiance Federation's top experts was standing behind Black. However, even if that was the case, these were two different matters. If Lin Yuan wanted to obtain the Radiance 100 sequence test qualification, he could not lack the verification of age. Lin Yuan did not hesitate at all and directly showed his identity's personal information. However, Lin Yuan only showed his basic information and still chose to hide his contracted phase information. On one hand, Lin Yuan knew that his contracted phase quality was simply too amazing. On the other hand, it was because he only needed to be assessed for the Radiance 100 sequence's qualification test. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not need to reveal his phase information. Lin Yuan was not a person who liked to show off. On the contrary, he was an extremely reserved person, especially when it came to trump cards. Only strength that was held in one's hands and not known by others could be called a trump card. Such a trump card was the key to turning the tables in an evenly matched battle. If a person revealed all of his abilities, then that person would be playing against others openly. Even if the other party was not as strong as you, they might take out a hidden card that you did not know and win by surprise. After the middle-aged man checked Black's basic information, he could not help but be a little absent-minded. The middle-aged man already knew Black's strength, so there was nothing to be surprised about. However, what surprised him was Black's age. The youngest Radiance 100 sequence member seemed to be around 20 years old. At 18 years old, it was reasonable to say that he should have just graduated from the Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. Black had already started to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence test at this age, which made the middle-aged man could not help but sigh. Heroes really come from the youth since ancient times? However, after understanding Black's strength, the middle-aged man did not think that Black could be selected into the Radiance 100 sequence this year. Although the strength that Black had displayed was amazing, in the middle-aged man's opinion, it was still a level lower than the Radiance 100 sequence. However, the middle-aged man was very optimistic that Black would choose to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. Because no one would dislike this kind of youth's motivation and fighting spirit. The middle-aged man smiled encouragingly. You have obtained the qualifications to compete for the Radiance 100 sequence's 10 spots this year. Before the Radiance 100 sequence assessment, the Radiance Sacred Hall will contact you. Just as Lin Yuan was about to bid farewell, he heard the middle-aged man who had previously assessed him call out to him. Lin Yuan turned around and heard the middle-aged man's voice. Black, do your best in the sequence selection assessment. Lin Yuan's face behind the mask revealed a bright smile. Okay, uncle, I will do my best. The middle-aged man was stunned. After Lin Yuan left, the middle-aged man opened his office's drawer and took out a mirror. He carefully observed himself for a minute and constantly muttered. Why don't you call me brother? Should I call him uncle? Am I that old? Baidu read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.